What's going on there, YouTube, and welcome back to another comic book video. This is the channel where we sit down and cover different comic book stories from different comic book companies. Today, we're going to jump back over to Marvel Comics, and we are going to do a full story video. A full story video is when I take a bunch of videos that tell one overarching storyline, combine them together into one big video. And so today we're going to do Ultimate Spider-Man. Of course, this is Peter Parker Ultimate Spider-Man. Now we're only going to cover Ultimate Spider-Man number 1 through number 39. And the reason why, because I call this the origin phase when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man. It's the origin of Peter Parker becoming Spider-Man, but also Norman Osborn becoming the Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Venom, and so on and so on, Craven as well. But this is the early days of Peter Parker being Spider-Man in the Ultimate Marvel Universe, the first 39 issues. So with that being said, I do hope you enjoy today's comic book video. And if you do, please hit the like button down below and subscribe. But here we go. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 1, with this book right here, guys, this book right here was massive. And what I mean is that this book was basically over 30 pages, more like 40 pages long of a book. Because this book was the first book for Ultimate Marvel. There was a lot of pressure on this book because it was Marvel saying it's time to make a separate universe, a more modern universe. And that was Ultimate Marvel. And so Marvel said, we need a new universe to be more modernized for our new fans out there. And let's start off with Spider-Man. And so Spider-Man number 1, being 40 pages long, it had a ton of pressure on it because it had to pull old fans and new fans in to sit down and say, let's discover this new universe, the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, the way this book starts off though, we pick up with Norman Osborn. Now guys, Norman Osborn is working right now in his lab. And the thing is guys, he is working on his Oz formula because right now that is his big time project. He wants to get it done because if he does, he will make some major money with this project. Now, with the Oz formula, what is he doing? He's basically putting the Oz formula into different kinds of animals. But the one he's playing with right now is the spider. Now guys, this spider, of course, will give Peter Parker his powers, but later on. But the thing is, this spider is holding the Oz formula inside of it. Now, we do jump over to our lovely character, Peter Parker. And the thing is guys, we are getting the full life of Peter Parker in Ultimate Marvel in this book, what his life is like. And the thing is, we pick up Peter Parker being the nerd he is, sitting at a table, reading some textbook and trying to study some science because of course, that is Peter Parker. He is a huge nerd. He loves science. As a matter of fact, I don't blame him because science is kind of cool. But anyways, you do have Peter Parker just trying to study. And of course, you do have Flash Thompson and his friends picking on Peter Parker, just like the main timeline Spider-Man. Now, we also get introduced to Mary Jane because guys, in this timeline right here, Peter Parker does not fall in love with Gwen Stacy first. Matter of fact, he falls in love with Mary Jane. And so right now in this book, they are best friends. They are close friends, but they do have feelings towards each other. Now, we do get introduced to Uncle Ben also because Uncle Ben is just there to pick up Peter Parker and see how he's doing. But guys, we are getting introduced to all the characters in Peter Parker's life in this book right off the bat. Mary Jane, Uncle Ben, and Flash Thompson. We are getting introduced to everything about Peter Parker in this timeline. Now, we do jump forward in time to high school time, like high school, whatever. But we pick up with Peter Parker in high school right now, and he's just walking around, and of course he does get picked on again by Flash Thompson, to the point where Harry Osborn has to step in to protect Peter Parker. Now, guys, we are being introduced to Harry Osborn in Ultimate Marvel, but the thing is, Harry Osborn is different in this universe. Now guys, when Peter Parker first met Harry Osborn back in the main Marvel timeline, it was not really like they were best friends. They were kind of like, I like you, you like me, I guess we can be friends. But in this timeline right here, even though Harry Osborn says Peter Parker is his friend, in reality, he is using Peter Parker to do his homework. It's different because Peter Parker is so smart and a nerd, but will not stand up for himself, that Harry Osborn will protect him from Flash Thompson and other bullies, just to say, hey, I helped you, now you gotta help me. So hey, let you do my homework for me as a way to repay me for protecting you from these bullies. It's really different in the main Marvel timeline with Harry and Peter Parker. Now, we do jump forward in time once again, and at this point right here, we do get to see the incident that gives Peter Parker his powers. Now, of course, you do have Peter and his high school mates on a field trip walking through, of course, Oscorp, and that same spider that Norman Osborn was playing around with that is holding the Oz formula was not locked up correctly. It got out. And so, of course, with Peter Parker and his classmates walking around Oscorp building, that spider does get on Peter Parker's hand, bites Peter Parker, and of course guys, just like almost every single origin story for Spider-Man, that is how he got his powers. He was bitten by the Oz formula spider. Now, of course, Peter Parker does pass out because the effects of the spider venom with the Oz formula combined, it knocked out Peter Parker. And Peter Parker does wake up, of course, in a hospital. Now, the doctors do say he's okay, he's fine, but it's kind of like, what will happen to him? We know, because of course, it's Peter Parker, it's Spider-Man. He'll become a spider and start kicking butt. But for right now, it's kind of like, what in the world will happen to him? Now, while he's in the hospital, you do have one of the doctors try to get a blood sample of Peter Parker to make sure he's okay. And when the nurse takes the blood sample back to the office to get looked at, Norman Osborn sent one of his men into the hospital to steal that blood sample to see what kind of reaction does Peter Parker's blood have towards the Oz formula. He wants to make sure that Peter Parker is not going to mutate into some kind of monster, or this kid will die thanks to Norman Osborn Oz formula. Now, to go ahead and wrap up issue number 1, a few more things happen. Like I said, guys, this was a 40-page comic, but I'm trying to give you the quick rundown on this book because this book, all it did is really start up the Ultimate Marvel Universe with Ultimate Spider-Man. It tried to slam in so much content in this one book. But anyways, the last two things that happened is that Norman Osborn was looking back over the blood sample of Peter Parker that he had one of his men steal from the hospital. And so while he was looking over the blood sample, he realized that Peter Parker is dying, that the Oz formula is slowly killing off Peter Parker. Now guys, when this came out back in like 2000, it was kind of like, wait, are we not going to have Peter Parker as our Ultimate Marvel Spider-Man? Are we going to have somebody else as Peter Parker? That's kind of weird to have a 40-page book, read like 30 pages only to find out that Peter Parker might not live. And so you have Norman Osborn say, we need to go ahead and kill off Peter Parker before we get sued big time by the Parkers, because our spider who had the Oz formula bit Peter Parker. And so you had Norman Osborn sent out one of his men to go out there and kill Peter Parker. Of course, while this man did try to go kill Peter Parker, he was unlucky because Peter Parker's spider sense kicked in. And so we are seeing Peter Parker's powers basically coming active thanks to him almost being killed. Now, Peter Parker does run home, and he's kind of like, what in the world's going on with me? What was that spider sense? How was I able to dodge that car that almost hit me? What in the world is going on with me? And the thing is, you have Peter Parker start climbing the wall, and he realized that that spider gave him powers. And guys, that was the first issue of Ultimate Spider-Man. I had to give you a quick rundown on that book because, again, it was 40 pages long. If we sat here and went over 40 pages of that book, that'll be a video of its own. But now, guys, we jump over to Ultimate Spider-Man number 2. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 2, with this book right here, this book does pick up a couple days after Ultimate Spider-Man number 1. Now, guys, with this book right here, this book was more of, let's watch Peter Parker learn more about his powers, but at a slow pace. Because, guys, if you look back at Amazing Fantasy number 15, with that book right there, that book was more of, hey, Peter got bit by a spider, became Spider-Man, became a superhero, all in one book. But with this book right here, it's more of, let's explore Peter Parker powers at a slow pace. Let's watch Peter Parker realize that he has all these different kinds of powers. Now, we do pick up with Peter Parker right now in school. The thing is, though, he fell asleep in class. And so when the teacher goes to wake him up, Peter Parker freaks out. He freaks out and he breaks the desk in half. Now, guys, this is right here tells us that Peter Parker has super strength. It's Peter Parker realizing that he has super strength. Now, you do have us jump forward in time to PE class. Now, while in PE class, Peter Parker realized that Flash Thompson is trying to hit on Mary Jane to the point where he's trying to force himself onto Mary Jane. And the thing is, you have Peter Parker realize that that is not cool. And so you have Peter Parker get a basketball and throw the ball right at Flash Thompson's head. Now, with that happening right there, that does tick off Flash Thompson. And you have Flash tell Peter that they're going to fight after school. And of course, guys, we do jump over to that fight. Now, you do have Flash Thompson trying to throw punches at Peter Parker. The thing is, though, Peter Parker is, again, he is learning that he also has the ability to dodge blows real easily. He has a high reflexing skill. He is dodging Flash Thompson blows left and right. Now, when Flash goes for one last punch towards Peter Parker's face, Peter Parker grabs Flash Thompson's hand to stop the blow from hitting his face. The thing is, though, when Peter Parker did that, he broke Flash Thompson's hand. And so with that happening right there, you have Flash Thompson on the ground in pain because Peter Parker just broke this man's hand. Now, we do jump over to Harry Osborn because right now Harry Osborn is talking to Kong. Now, I'm pretty sure I did not go over who Kong is earlier in this video, but Kong is basically another bully of Peter Parker. What I mean is that you have Flash Thompson who bullies Peter Parker, but also Kong does the same thing as Flash Thompson. Kong picks on Peter Parker. He is also a bully. But anyways, you have Kong talking to Harry Osborn. And the thing is, you have Kong tell Harry what happened to Flash, how Peter Parker broke Flash Thompson's hand. Now, for Harry, it's kind of weird because to Harry, he's kind of like, that's not Peter Parker. Peter Parker is a weakling. He's a skinny kid who's a nerd. Like, there's no way he could be able to break Flash Thompson's hand. But you have Kong saying, dude, Peter Parker broke Flash Thompson's hand. Now, you do have Norman Osborn overhear this conversation, and he realized that Peter Parker is getting superpowers. And so you have Norman Osborn walk over to Harry, pull Harry to the side, and say, listen, I want you and that Parker boy to come by Oscorp tomorrow as a way to show Peter Parker I'm sorry for him getting bit by that spider. Thing is though, guys, to Harry Osborn, it seems like his dad's being a good guy. But in reality, it's Norman Osborn just trying to get more out of Peter Parker to see what in the world is going on with Peter. What is happening to Peter? How in the world is he getting these superpowers? And so Harry tells his dad, yes, we'll be there tomorrow. Norman Osborn is kind of like, good, I'm happy. But in reality, it's kind of like, I'm good, I'm happy because I'm going to get more blood samples from your friend. Now, we do jump over to Uncle Ben, Aunt May, and Peter Parker, because right now Flash Thompson's mother calls Uncle Ben and says, you guys are going to pay for this medical bill. And the thing is, if you don't pay this bill off, we will sue you guys. And so that right there just makes Uncle Ben and Aunt May hang the phone up, turn around, and start yelling at Peter. And the thing is, Peter's kind of like, listen, Flash Thompson has been a bully to me this whole school year. He always pick on me. And the one time I decide to protect myself, and yes, he did get hurt, you're yelling at me. You are yelling at me and you're not taking my side. And so you do have Peter Parker and his uncle and his aunt exchange a few words. And you do have Peter Parker say a few things that kind of made Aunt May cry. And Uncle Ben kind of like, yo, dude, are you all right? Calm down. And so after that, you do have Peter Parker run to his room. Now, of course, the next day, Peter Parker goes downstairs and tells his uncle and Aunt May that he is sorry for yelling at them. Now, we do jump over to Oscorp, because right now at Oscorp, you do have Peter Parker and Harry stop by like Norman Osborn wants them to do. And the thing is, while they're walking through Oscorp, they do get introduced to Doc Ock. And guys, this is our first appearance of Ultimate Marvel Doc Ock. Now, you do have Doc Ock trying to butter up Peter Parker, kind of like, hey man, you and I both love science. You know, you and I should work together one day. But the thing is, Doc Ock is doing this so he can get a blood sample from Peter Parker. Now, Doc Ock does ask Peter at first, like, hey, can I get a blood sample? Peter's kind of like, nah, man, I'm good. I hate needles and my blood needs to stay inside of me, not outside of me. But the thing is, Doc Ock goes ahead and steals a blood sample from Peter Parker without Peter saying yes. And that right there freaks out Peter Parker, because he's kind of like, is this an ambush? Like, was I invited here so you guys can get another blood sample? And so Peter Parker just runs off. He runs away. He's like, nope, I'm gone. Now, we do jump over to Norman Osborn looking at the new sample of Peter Parker's blood. And the thing is, Norman Osborn realized that this blood is different than the last blood sample, that Peter Parker looks healthy. He's not dying. He's actually getting better. And so you have Norman say, listen, if the Oz formula worked on Peter Parker, it should work on any other person. And so the thing is, you have Norman tell his team, we are going to recreate the Oz formula and put it inside me. And let's see what happens to me. And guys, that wraps up Ultimate Spider-Man number 2. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 3, with this book right here, this book does pick up a few days after Ultimate Spider-Man number 2. Now, we do pick up with Norman Osborn still trying to convince his staff that they should recreate the Oz formula, to try the new Oz formula on him to see what happens when he has the Oz formula inside his body. The thing is though, you do have his staff kind of like, are you sure? Because we got lucky with the Parker kid. How do we know if we try the Oz formula on you that you will not turn into some kind of monster? And so you kind of have Norman say, well, listen, this is my company. This is my formula. You guys work for me. So if you want to keep your job, you will help me recreate the Oz formula to test the Oz formula on me to see what happens. So get to work or get out. And of course, the scientist is kind of like, fine, I want to keep my job, we'll help you. And so we now jump over to Peter Parker, Kong, Flash Thompson, and Mary Jane, because right now they are watching a wrestling match. They are watching Crusher Hogan. And right now, Crusher Hogan is just fighting against somebody in the ring. And of course, he wins the match. Now, you do have the announcer tell the crowd, listen, if you are able to get in the ring to fight against Crusher Hogan, you can make some big money. And so, of course, you kind of have Kong kind of like, well, I'm a high school kid who wants money. Let me get in the ring. And of course, the announcer is kind of like, nah, man, like you're just 15 years old. There's no way I'm gonna allow some kid to get in the ring and get hurt by Crusher Hogan. Come back when you're 21 years old. Now, you do have Peter Parker realize something. He says, you know what? If I can go home, make an outfit, make a mask to hide my face, I can fight against Crusher Hogan and I can make some money. Take that money and give that money over to Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And so guys, Peter Parker does that. He makes an outfit. He goes to fight against Crusher Hogan, defeats Crusher Hogan to give the money that he won in his match against Hogan to his uncle and his aunt to help pay off Flash Thompson's medical bill. It's Peter saying, I need to use my powers to help me out, to help others out, to help my aunt, to help my uncle. I need to use my powers to help make my life better. And so he did that. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker in high school right now, and at his high school. And the thing is, he does get confronted by his coach. And the thing is, his coach is kind of like, listen, since you broke Flash Thompson's hand, we are short one man for our basketball team. We need somebody. So Peter, do you want to join the basketball team? And Peter's kind of like, nah, man, I'm good. Like, I don't like sports. I don't like you either. Thing is, you do have Flash Thompson say kind of mean things about Peter. And Peter's kind of like, you know what? I will join the basketball team. And of course, with Peter doing that, the first game Peter plays in, he is wrecking the opponent. He is beating their butts left and right. Peter Parker is LeBron James in high school. He's a superstar. Everybody's all like, yo, who is this kid? This kid is like crazy good right now, guys. This is wild. And so it's Peter Parker saying, thanks to that bite, my life is getting better at a slow pace. Now, Peter Parker does go back to fight Crusher Hogan just one more time to make some more money to help out Aunt May and Uncle Ben pay for Flash Thompson's medical bill. And so he does fight against Crusher Hogan, defeats Hogan again, except this time, after he defeats Hogan, the announcer calls Peter the Amazing Spider-Man. And that's where Peter Parker gets his name in Ultimate Marvel, from this announcer. Now, the announcer also hands over Peter Parker his new outfit, saying, listen, man, the stuff you've been wearing is horrible. Like, it looks nasty, it's horrible. You need a better outfit. So I had someone make you a better outfit. Here you go. And this is where Peter Parker gets his Ultimate Spider-Man outfit, again, from this person. Now, to go ahead and wrap up issue number 3, but to go ahead and wrap this video up too, we do jump back over to Norman Osborn and his staff, because again, they are about to test the new Oz formula on Norman Osborn. And the thing is, you have Harry Osborn walk in kind of like, Dad, what are you doing? Why in the world are you trying to recreate this formula? Like, what are you doing right now, Dad? Why are you in that chair? Why there's like tubes like plugged into you? What in the world is going on? The thing is, you had Norman Osborn tell one of his staff members to get his son out of here because he does not want his son around when he's about to test this new Oz formula. And so as Harry walks away, Harry hears a loud scream and a loud explosion. And guys, that wraps up when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. With this book right here, this book does pick up where our last video left off at. Now guys, remember, at the end of the last video, we watched Norman Osborn try to use the Oz formula on himself because he has been watching Peter Parker get powers left and right thanks to the Oz formula. And so you have Norman in the last video say, let's use the Oz formula on myself to see what happened. Now, with this book right here, number 4, we do pick up a day after he did that. And you have a news channel reporting on what happened, that his lab has been destroyed. There are dead bodies all over the place, that Doc Ock is knocked out. The only person that is missing is Norman Osborn. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker still wrestling on the side. Because I remember, in my last video, we covered when Flash Thompson was trying to fight Peter Parker. Peter Parker broke Flash Thompson's hand, and Flash Thompson's parents told Uncle Ben and Aunt May that they need to pay for this medical bill. And so Peter started wrestling using his powers to make money to give to Uncle Ben and Aunt May. The thing is though, after Peter just finished his last match in this book right here, he goes to the owner to get paid. The thing is though, the owner says the money has been stolen. The money I was going to use to pay every single person in here has been stolen. And I believe it was you. And he points to Peter because he says, listen, you are the only person. I have no clue who they are. You come in here wearing that outfit, wearing that mask. I don't know how old you are, what's your name. I don't know who you are at all. And I believe you're the one who stole my money. Now, of course, Peter Parker has to get away before all the wrestlers try to ambush him. But it's kind of like it's starting to go south again for Peter Parker. He was getting money and now he lost that job. Now, on his way back home, he decided to go change back into his regular day clothes, his Peter Parker clothes, because he can't just walk in the front door as Spider-Man. But as he's walking back home as Peter Parker, a nearby store is being robbed and the thief runs out. And Peter Parker is kind of like, I'm not going to stop you. Like, go ahead and go. This is not my problem. Yes, they got robbed. I could be a nice person and stop the person who just robbed them, but why would I do that? I have my own life problems right now. And so the robber gets away. Now, when Peter Parker gets back home, Uncle Ben and Aunt May are there at the front door waiting for him because they're mad at him because they just got his report card. He has like 4 A's, but he has a D and something else. And that right there pissed off Aunt May and Uncle Ben. And they start to argue with Peter Parker. The thing is though, Peter gets so mad, he runs away. He runs away down the street to go to somebody's house. And he goes over to Kong's house to stay there. Now, we do pick up a couple hours after Peter arrives at Kong's house to stay overnight. And the thing is, Kong started to throw a party at his own house. And so of course you got girls there, you got alcohol there, you got everything going on. And Peter is right now with Liz Allen just flirting up and everything. Now, Uncle Ben arrives at the party over at Kong's house to say, listen, I need you to come back home. Aunt May is worried about you. Yes, we got in an argument, but we're still here for you. We want to help you, Peter. We want to be there with you, Peter. And the thing is, Uncle Ben and Peter Parker start to argue with each other in front of Kong's house while the party goes on. And the thing is, Peter Parker, he runs away. He runs away because he's so mad at Uncle Ben that he's kind of like, listen, you know what? I can't do it right now. I cannot do this right now. And so he runs away. Now, after Peter Parker goes around town to clear his mind, to realize that he's being harsh on Uncle Ben and Aunt May, he goes back home finally to apologize to Uncle Ben and Aunt May. The thing is, though, when he gets there, the police is there at his house. And that is where we end Ultimate Spider-Man number 4. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 5, with this book right here, this book is very emotional. And what I mean is that by the end of this book, of this part of the video, you will be a little bit in your feelings. Now, this book does not pick up where number 4 left off at. Instead, we now jump over to Harry Osborn, because right now Harry Osborn is at his house trying to enjoy a quiet night, trying to get some sleep. The thing is, though, he realized his house is on fire. And so he's kind of like, what in the world is going on? Now, he does run over to his mother's bedroom to see if she's okay. The thing is, though, when he gets there, he realized that his mother has been killed by something else, not by the fire. And so he's kind of like, what happened to her? Who killed her? What killed her? And then he looks and he sees some kind of monster in the flames. And so he runs away because that monster tried to go after Harry next. Now, luckily for Harry, he was able to escape the monster, and the monster left him alone. Now, we do jump back over to the home of Peter Parker and Aunt May. Because, guys, remember, at the end of number 4, we saw that the police was at Peter Parker's house when he got home. And guys, we come to find out that Uncle Ben has been shot and killed in his own house because someone broke in the house of the Parkers and tried to rob them. And he had Uncle Ben and Aunt May at gunpoint. And Uncle Ben was trying to talk the man out of shooting them. But the man shot Uncle Ben anyways. And so right now you have Aunt May and Peter Parker telling the police what happened. You know, what happened to Uncle Ben? You know, how did this man break into the house and how he shot Uncle Ben? You have Aunt May just crying over and over again. Peter Parker, he's just speechless. He can't say anything because he wasn't there to help Uncle Ben. And Uncle Ben was shot and killed. And so now you have Peter Parker run out the house, change into his Spider-Man outfit to go hunt down the man who shot his uncle. Now, guys, this is your usual typical Spider-Man origin story right here. Peter Parker goes after the man who shot and killed his uncle. He finds that man. He beats that man up. And then when he looks at the man's face, he realized it was the man he let go earlier. The man who was robbing that store in the last part of this video. The man who was robbing that store, who he could have stopped, but he let them go because he said it was not his problem, was the man who broke into Peter Parker's home and shot his uncle. And so Peter realized he could have saved his uncle's life if he had stopped that man who was robbing the bank or robbing the store earlier. And so after Peter basically continued to beat him up and give the man over to the police, Peter Parker goes back home to find Mary Jane waiting for him. And he goes to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane hugs him as he cries into her arms because now he lost a second father. He now lost. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 6, with this book right here, you would think that you would see Aunt May and Peter Parker mourning the death of Uncle Ben because the man just died in the last book. He was just killed off in the last book. And you would think that you would see some kind of mourning going on for some characters. Instead, we don't see that. We now jump a couple days after the death of Uncle Ben. And the thing is, we pick up with the Daily Bugle because right now, JJ is talking to his staff and he's saying, listen, in the past couple of days, there has been some man going around wearing an outfit, calling himself Spider-Man and saving people's lives. And the thing is, every other newspaper is covering Spider-Man. Their front page is a picture of this Spider-Man. And so you have JJ say, why in the world have we not done that yet? Why is our front page not about Spider-Man, about some other topic that no one cares about? And so JJ says, listen, Ben Urich, stop working on your Wilson Fisk story and start focusing on Spider-Man. Everybody start focusing on Spider-Man. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker. Now, guys, you would think that you will at least see Peter Parker still mourning the death of Uncle Ben. The thing is, though, he's not. He's falling asleep in class, breaking desks when someone wakes him up, hanging out with Mary Jane, Flash, and Kong. He's living a usual high school life. The thing is, though, as they're talking to each other, Harry Osborn walks into school. And the thing is, guys, this is huge because Harry Osborn has been away from school, away from his friends ever since Norman Osborn has gone missing. And the thing is, Norman Osborn, his father, has been missing since the beginning of this video, where after he tried to test the Oz formula on himself. And so when Peter goes and asks Harry, where in the world have you been? Harry was trying to tell Peter where he's been and what in the world has been going on with him. And the thing is, as soon as Harry tries to tell Peter, the school starts to shake. The school starts to fall apart. The school starts to catch on fire. And it's kind of like, what in the world is going on right now? What is causing this? And so you have all the kids run out of school to get to safety because something big is happening to the school. And the thing is, you have Peter go outside, change into his Spider-Man outfit, web slings inside the school to find out who in the world was causing the school to shake. And when he gets there, he gets to meet the Green Goblin for the first time. This huge monster, huge monster, like Hulk-sized kind of monster, looking right at him. And this is where Peter gets introduced to his first super villain. Now, the Green Goblin and Peter Parker, they start to fight. They go back and forth. And guys, that's the second half of this book right here, of Peter Parker and Green Goblin fighting all over the school, to the point their fight takes them outside the school into the city. They are going back and forth throughout the second half of this book. The thing is, though, right at the end of this book, Green Goblin is choking Peter Parker and he is saying Parker over and over again, Parker, but in a scary voice. And that's when Peter realized that this monster knows who he is, even though he's wearing a mask right now. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 7, with this book right here, this book is basically the end of the first story for Ultimate Spider-Man. It wraps everything up. And so now we pick up with Peter Parker still fighting against the Green Goblin. And their fight is taking place all over the city. They're going back and forth. The thing is, though, Peter starts to realize something. That this monster knows who he is. Because this monster is saying Peter Parker. At first, it was just Parker. But now this monster is saying Peter and Parker. And so Peter realized that whoever this monster is it has to be someone close to him. The question is for Peter is who? Now we know who it is. We all know. It's Norman Osborn. He is this big, huge monster that's beating up on Peter Parker. We all know that. But for Peter, he has no clue who this is. Now, like I said, their fight takes place all over the city, and they do end up on the bridge in Manhattan, and they start fighting all over the bridge. Now, the NYPD, they're kind of like, okay, this is weird. We have two people who has powers fighting all over our bridge in Manhattan. You know what? Let's send in some people to go ahead and handle this threat. Because guys, remember, this is the beginning of Ultimate Marvel, the Ultimate Universe. People are not used to seeing people with powers fighting all over their city. So for the NYPD, they're kind of like, we have no choice. We have to handle this problem because those two people are fighting all over our city and basically causing some problems for people, blowing up things. Buildings are falling. We have to stop them right now. And so, of course, when they get there, the police are kind of like, listen, I'm going to warn you once. Put your hands in the air and come with us and stop your fighting. The thing is, though, Norman Osborn, this monster, he's kind of like, nah, I'm crazy. I want to kill Peter Parker. I want to kill everything around me. There's no way I'm going to be brought down this easily. And so Peter has to help save the police and still fight against the Green Goblin. The thing is, though, one of the officers tries to shoot at Peter Parker and they miss. And they hit Norman Osborn. And Norman Osborn falls into the river in New York to presume that he died after being shot at like 15 times. And so Peter's kind of like, oh crap. Whoever that was has now been shot and killed, and his body is somewhere in the river. Now, the police are kind of like, hey, you, listen, he's gone, but you're still here. So put your hands in the air and come with us. Of course, Peter's kind of like, nah, man, listen, I'm good. And Peter escapes the cops and he goes back to the school to see if everybody is okay. And of course, to wrap this story up, at the very end, after you have Mary Jane, Aunt May, Peter Parker, the mother of Mary Jane, hugging each other, you do have Harry Osborn walk up and he tells everybody in the crowd, the police, Peter, and all his friends that that monster was his father and that monster was looking for him. Now the police take Harry away, kind of like, listen, man, if that's true, we need you to come with us. The thing is, though, as the book closes, Peter starts to think and he says, no, that monster was not here for Harry. That monster was here for me. And the question is, why? And guys, now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 8, with this book right here, this book starts off by introducing us to the Shocker in the Ultimate Marvel universe. Now, guys, real quick side note, I hate the Shocker or what they did to the Shocker in Ultimate Marvel. And what I mean is that when it comes to Shocker in Ultimate Marvel, they made him a D-list villain. And to me, that's just wrong, because when I look back at Shocker in main Marvel timeline, he's a C-list or a low B-list super villain. And to see him in Ultimate Marvel being treated as a D-list character is kind of weird. It's kind of weird. The thing is, guys, in the first 4 pages, it's Spider-Man fighting against the Shocker. But thing is, guys, it's Spider-Man defeating the Shocker like it's no big deal. Like, bam, he's done. Move on in life. Like, the Shocker does not play a big role in Ultimate Marvel. And it's kind of like, well, wow, that sucks. Now, we do jump over to Midtown High. Now, at this point right here, we pick up with Kong, Flash Thompson, and a couple other high school students talking about Spider-Man. And the thing is, guys, this is Marvel telling us that in Ultimate Marvel, Spider-Man is becoming famous, that New York is learning more about this spider creature in their city. And the thing is, the Daily Bugle is telling people, if you are able to get a photo of this Spider-Man, we'll pay you some big bucks. And so Peter Parker overhears this. He's kind of like, well, wait, they're going to pay big bucks to somebody to get a picture of me. So why don't I basically do that myself? Take a picture of myself as Spider-Man and get paid for it. And so he does that. He basically does his own little photo shoot. And it's kind of cool because it's kind of like, okay, it's Peter Parker trying to get a job. He's trying to get, some money to help his Aunt May out because Uncle Ben is dead now. He has to help Aunt May out somehow, some way. Now, here's the thing right here though. When he goes to the Daily Bugle and he says, hey, listen, I got photos for you guys, JJ's kind of like, they're all crap. They're all crap. They're bad. I don't like them. You know what? We'll take this one and we'll pay you 50 bucks. And the thing is, guys, this is the main timeline JJ. Like, if you look at Ultimate Marvel, you'll say, yes, that is the main Marvel JJ. They are just alike. He treats Peter like crap. Now, he does tell Peter, you can't work here. Like, you can't work here at all. Get out of here. I don't want you around. Go away right now. Now, you do have JJ say, listen, get out, go away. I don't need you. But we do see that Betty Brant, she is part of Ultimate Marvel. And right now, she's just freaking out. Because, guys, in Ultimate Marvel, Betty Brant, she runs the website for the Daily Bugle. And so right now, the website is giving her some problems. And so you have her basically getting mad right now, yelling at the computer. She's cussing up a storm, yelling at JJ, yelling at Robbie. And then you have Peter Parker kind of like, wait, I can fix this. I can fix this so easily for you. And you have Peter just saves the day for the Daily Bugle. He fixed their online website for them and say, hey, you're done. I got it. You're cool. And the thing is, you have JJ say, you're hired. You are going to run our website for us. How old are you? 16? Don't care. You're hired because you were able to fix our website in 2 minutes. And Betty here could not do that. No one else in here could do that. So right now, you are a new website designer. And the thing is, guys, that's different for Spider-Man in Ultimate Marvel because if you look back at the main Marvel timeline, Peter Parker, all he did was take photos of people, of himself. That's all he did to make money in the main Marvel timeline. But in this timeline, it's different. He runs the website for the Daily Bugle. Now, we do pick up with Peter Parker right now laying in bed. And the thing is, guys, this part right here is just Peter Parker having a bad dream. Because every time he goes to bed, he has a dream of Uncle Ben getting shot again. And that thing just tearing him apart. Because every single time he goes to bed, he thinks about Uncle Ben getting shot over and over again. And it's tearing him apart. And so what he does to wrap up number 8 of Ultimate Spider-Man, he goes to the Daily Bugle, does some research on the crook who shot his uncle, and he comes to find out that he works for Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin. And guys, we are about to be introduced to Kingpin in Ultimate Marvel. But get this right here. You do have Peter ask Robbie, hey, why don't y'all go up against Wilson Fisk? Why not try to bring him down so the cops can arrest him? And you have Robbie tell Peter, we tried. And then he bought part of the company. He owns a big portion of the Daily Bugle. We tried to bring him down and we failed. And it's kind of like, well, dang, Wilson Fisk is not playing around in Ultimate Marvel. And that wraps up number 8 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 9, with this book right here, we pick up with the Enforcers. Now guys, this is our first introduction to the Enforcers. And the thing is guys, we still have Ox, Montana, and Fancy Dan that makes up the Enforcers, just like in the main Marvel timeline. The only difference is that the person who killed Uncle Ben, he was part of this group. And so Peter Parker said, listen, this group works for Wilson Fisk. If I'm able to find the Enforcers, well then I'll be able to find Wilson Fisk. And so you have Spider-Man go after the Enforcers. Now guys, real quick, the first 10 pages of this book is just Spider-Man fighting against the Enforcer. No joke. He is fighting against Ox, Montana, Fancy Dan, because the only thing he wants to know is to find Kingpin. Where can he find the Kingpin? Now, after Spider-Man defeats the Enforcers, you do have this random man appear behind Peter Parker. And the thing is, he says, listen, you want the Kingpin, right? Well, hey, I got some info for you. So this Friday, the Kingpin is going to throw a party. Now this party is going to make him look like an innocent man. The best thing that happened to New York. But in reality, behind the scenes, he is going to make some money moves. He is trying to make things happen and make himself an even bigger Kingpin of New York. And so that's your way to bring him down. Attend this party and figure out what in the world he is trying to do behind the scenes. And if you do that and the cops find out, then you have a way to bring down the Kingpin. Now, we do jump over to Mary Jane and Peter Parker. Now guys, this right here, it may seem small, like it only happens like in 2 to 3 pages, but this is Mary Jane and Peter Parker making their first date plans. Like no joke, you have Mary Jane walk up to Peter Parker and say, hey, so you want to go to the movies on Friday? And he's kind of like, yeah, of course. But wait, I have plans Friday, aka the Kingpin. So can we do Saturday? And so guys, this is Brian Michael Bendis saying, listen, Mary Jane and Peter Parker, they are going to happen. And this right here, again, another example of their love slowly growing in Ultimate Marvel. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker attending the party at Kingpin's tower. You know, the party that, you know, the guy said he'll look innocent, like the best thing that happened in New York, but in reality, he's making money moves behind the scenes. And so you have Peter Parker arriving at this party to figure out what in the world is the Kingpin planning behind the scenes. You know, while the party goes on, he again is making some money moves. Here's the thing right here though. As Peter Parker is slowly looking around, he's not finding anything. But right before number 9 closes, the Kingpin is slowly reaching behind Spider-Man and looks like he could grab him and throw him out the window. But that wraps up number 9 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 10, with this book right here, we pick up literally right after the end of number 9. And the thing is guys, it's the Kingpin fighting against Spider-Man. Now, of course, you do have Peter Parker be that, you know, that new superhero kind of cocky. He's kind of like, you know what? I don't care who you are. Yeah, you're Mr. Wilson Fisk, the Kingpin, but I should be able to handle you. And so you have Peter Parker try to fight against the Kingpin. And the thing is, the Kingpin is not losing. The Kingpin is actually defeating Peter Parker. Like, he is beating him down. Now, you do have the Kingpin say, you know what? Let's call in Electro. Electro, I need you to handle this situation for me right now. And so we are being introduced to the ultimate Marvel Electro. And so now it's Electro fighting against Spider-Man. And it's kind of like, okay, can Peter Parker actually win this fight? Can he defeat Electro? Because he only fought like one person that had powers, and that was the Green Goblin. And he got lucky last time because the cops shot the Green Goblin. And so it's kind of like, can he defeat Electro? And thing is, guys, he doesn't. He loses. And thing is, the Kingpin does take his mask off. Now, this is the first time that Ultimate Peter Parker gets unmasked. That Kingpin's kind of like, okay, cool. So, it's a kid. Cool. Great. Who is he? No one knows? All right, cool. Listen, we are keeping the mask, but we are going to throw him out the window. So goodbye, Spider-Man. Now, of course, luckily for Peter Parker, he does wake up and says, oh crap, I'm falling down to the ground. And he does web sling back home safely. Now, the next few pages is kind of like touchy subjects. And what I mean is that we picked up with Aunt May and Peter Parker, because thing is, guys, this is only like 4 or 5 books after the death of Uncle Ben. And so right now, they're still grieving over his death. And so Aunt May is kind of like, you know, Peter, it's just you and me now. There's no one else. It's just you and I to survive in this world. And that right there, guys, kind of like, dang, that pushing your feels, because they don't have anybody else in their family. Uncle Ben is now gone. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker and Mary Jane talking on the phone. Now, guys, remember, in the last part, Mary Jane asked Peter Parker, hey, are you down for a movie? You know, let's go out on a date. And the thing is, Peter Parker cancels on her because, one, he's in pain after Electro and the Kingpin kicked his butt, but two, he feels down right now. He feels like a useless superhero. Now, we do jump back over to the Kingpin. And the thing is, guys, right after Kingpin threw Peter Parker out the window after beating him up and keeping his mask, the Kingpin told one of his guys, call in Mr. Big, because I believe he's the one who told Spider-Man that there's a party going down here at my place today. And so Mr. Big is basically the leader of the enforcers. And the thing is, the Kingpin kills off Mr. Big. He puts on the mask of Spider-Man over Mr. Big's head and crushes his skull with his bare hands. And Wilson Fisk is saying, I just killed you off because I know you told Spider-Man about this event at my place yesterday on Friday. And so you had Wilson Fisk kill off Mr. Big, the leader of the enforcers, the same man that told Peter Parker about the event at Wilson Fisk Towers. Now, to wrap up issue number 10, the body of Mr. Big, it does appear somewhere in New York City, in the waters. And the thing is, the mask of Spider-Man is still on his head. And with the mask of Spider-Man on his head, the thing is, the police say their main suspect right now is Spider-Man. Spider-Man must have killed this man. And so Wilson Fisk just framed Spider-Man for the murder of Mr. Big, the leader of the enforcers. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 11, with this book right here, it does pick up where the last book left off at. Now, guys, with this book, we pick up with Peter Parker right now freaking out, because the thing is, guys, he just realized something. Okay, the Kingpin killed a man wearing my mask and let that man's body be found by the police, and now the police think that I'm the killer because the dead body was wearing my mask. Also, he figured out or realized that in the Kingpin's office there was a camera, and Peter said, if the Kingpin did unmask me in front of that camera and he threw me out the window, the Kingpin can come back anytime by looking at that footage, looking up information about me, come hunt me down or go hurt Aunt May. And so Peter's kind of like freaking out. He's like, oh crap, the Kingpin can do anything to me. Now, Peter realized, wait a second, if the Kingpin did kill that man in the same office where that camera was at, then I'm able to get that footage, give it to the police, but also just cut out the part where I got unmasked. That will prove that I'm innocent, that I did not kill that man. And so Peter said, I have to break back into Kingpin's tower to find that storage unit, to find that disc that has the footage of the same night where I got unmasked, but when Kingpin killed a man wearing my mask right after that. And so Peter Parker, he does that. He does break back into the Kingpin's tower to look for more information, to bring down the Kingpin, to look for that storage unit that has the disc of the footage of him being unmasked, but also the Kingpin killing that guy earlier in this story. And so as he's doing that, the power starts to go out. And so Kingpin realized, the enforcers realize, the Electro realized that, wait a second, something is going on. We need to figure it out. And so the enforcers and Electro come right behind Spider-Man right after he was able to get the footage of the Kingpin killing that man in front of that camera. And so to close up number 11, you do have the enforcers and Electro about to fight Spider-Man once again. And guys, that wraps up number 11. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 12, this is the book that basically wraps this story up. Now, we do pick up with Spider-Man fighting against Electro and fighting against the enforcers. Now guys, for the first like 8 to 9, maybe 10 pages, it's just Spider-Man fighting against Electro and the enforcers. And guys, this is Brian Michael Bendis saying, listen, the last time he fought Electro, he got his butt kicked. He got shocked so bad, he got knocked out. The enforcers, well, yeah, he beat them last time. But Electro, no, he lost last time. And so it's time for Peter Parker to actually defeat Electro and the enforcers together to show us, the readers, that he has improved as a superhero. Now, after he does that, he does run into the Kingpin. Now, again, this is Brian Michael Bendis and Marvel saying, listen, last time again, he fought the Kingpin. He got his butt kicked by the Kingpin. He got thrown around the room like he was no big hero at all, like he's some kind of chump. And so it's Marvel and Brian Michael Bendis saying, Peter is going to fight the Kingpin once again, but this time he is going to win the fight, leave the tower with the camera footage from the security camera, and get Kingpin in trouble. And the thing is, guys, he does that. He defeats the Kingpin and he does go home to delete the file of him being unmasked in front of the camera, but he keeps the footage of the Kingpin killing that man earlier, Mr. Big. Now, what Peter does next, he leaves an anonymous tip for Ben Urich with the camera footage saying, listen, this should help you take care of your Kingpin problem. And so you have Ben Urich look at the footage and see that the Kingpin in front of a camera killed a man, the same man the police found dead in the middle of the water somewhere. And so you have Ben Urich call up JJ, call up Robertson, kind of like, yo, guys, we got something. We got something big right here. Like, we can bring the Kingpin down. And so to wrap up number 12, we do pick up with the Kingpin out. So he's somewhere. He's not in America anymore. He's out in the country. But he's out of the country because the world knows that he killed a man. And so if he steps foot back in America, he'll get arrested. And so right now, he's somewhere in the world just looking in. Like he's in a different country wondering what can he do now? Because right now he is a wanted man in New York. Now, you do have Peter Parker call up Mary Jane to tell Mary Jane, listen, it's time for us to talk. It's time for us to sit down and have a discussion. I need to tell you something. And guys, that wraps up Ultimate Spider-Man number 12. We pick up with Ultimate Spider-Man number 13. Now guys, if you are new to my channel, please leave me a like down below. Also, subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, let me know in the comments below. Because guys, every Monday we are covering the Ultimate Marvel reading order. And guys, I'm pretty sure you do not want to miss out on this long journey. Now, today, guys, we are covering Ultimate Spider-Man number 13. Now, guys, the reason why I did not skip this book and go ahead and cover volume 3 is because I like this book a lot. Because the way Brian Michael Bendis wrote this book is basically two teenagers sitting down and acting like teenagers. And the thing is, guys, when I read this book last week, I was kind of like, man, this reminded me of myself at this age, acting like this, you know, hey man, come over. I got a big secret to tell you. This big secret that you can't tell anybody. Like when I read this book, it reminded me of myself back at that age. And so guys, Peter Parker called up Mary Jane at the end of our last video, volume 2. And the thing is, she does come over and you do have Peter kind of like, listen, Mary Jane, I have a big secret that you can't tell anybody. I mean, you can't tell Flash, you can't tell Kong, you can't tell Liz or Gwen, you can't tell anybody. And the thing is, you know, you have Mary Jane kind of like, Peter, what is this big secret? Like, go ahead and tell me this big secret. And the thing is, Peter's kind of like, listen, all right, what I'm going to tell you, you can't freak out. Like, you really can't freak out, Mary Jane. Like, this is big. This is huge. You cannot freak out. And again, you do have Mary Jane kind of like, Peter, can you please go ahead and tell me what is your big secret? And of course, you do have Peter kind of like, okay, listen, I'm Spider-Man. And of course, you know, like most people, like Peter Parker telling somebody this, they start laughing at him. So of course, Mary Jane is laughing at him. She's kind of like, dude, for real now, there's no way that you are Spider-Man. There's no way you are, because you're Peter Parker. And the thing is, you have Peter kind of like, no, for real. Like, no, for real. Mary Jane, I am Spider-Man. Like, I am the guy you saw at our school fighting the Green Goblin. I am the guy you see on TV every day doing some crazy stuff. I am Spider-Man. And again, Mary Jane is kind of like, dude, listen, you are not Spider-Man. There's no way that you, Peter Parker, is Spider-Man. And so you do have Peter Parker kind of like, okay, you know what? Let me show you that I am Spider-Man. Let me show you. And so, of course, you do have Peter Parker basically bouncing off the walls, doing all these different kinds of tricks to show her, hey, I'm not lying. I really am Spider-Man. Like, I am the guy you see on TV. I was that guy who fought against that monster in our school, the Green Goblin. You know, the guy who Harry claims is his father. That was me. I am Spider-Man. And Mary Jane is again kind of like, she's in shock. Matter of fact, she starts screaming. Now, of course, you do have Peter Parker kind of like, you can't scream. You cannot scream. Because one, my aunt's here. And she would think that we're up here doing the nasty. And we can't have her thinking that. So please stop screaming. But of course, Mary Jane's kind of like, oh my God, you're for real. You are for real. You are Spider-Man. And again, Peter's kind of like, yeah, I've been trying to tell you this. I am Spider-Man. I'm that guy you see on TV every day. I'm that guy. I am Spider-Man. And guys, that's it. that's really it for this book. But the thing is, guys, this is Peter Parker basically beginning some kind of trend in Ultimate Spider-Man, where people start to find out his identity. Like, no joke, in the main Marvel timeline, Peter Parker, barely anyone knew that he was Spider-Man. But guys, after this book right here, you are going to see that a lot of people are going to find out that he is Spider-Man, that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and you are going to see this a lot. And this book right here, it starts that trend. It starts that trend where people are kind of like, hey, Peter Parker, he's Spider-Man. Oh, okay. Now we know how to hurt him, how to attack him, how to get him to put up a fight against us. We know how to fight against Peter Parker. You are going to see a trend happening in this book. Now, to wrap up this video, basically you do have Mary Jane and Peter Parker kind of get close. It's kind of like, you know what? I like the fact that you're Spider-Man. It's kind of hot. And so you do have Peter Parker and Mary Jane about to kiss. But of course, Aunt May walks in. She's kind of like, hey, no. There's no kissing. There's no making out. There's no banging in my house. Mary Jane, I called your mom. Go home. I'll see you tomorrow. And it's kind of like, dang, Aunt May, that's messed up. Like, Aunt May just ruined the first kiss for Peter Parker in his life. Like, dang, Aunt May, you do know how to block some people. That's kind of bad. But guys, that's really it for Ultimate Spider-Man number 13. Now, in the next video, we'll cover Volume 3. And guys, Volume 3, we of this book. Because the thing is, guys, it's just Peter Parker in high school, just doing high school stuff. It honestly does not matter. Instead, we're going to jump over to Dr. Octopus because right now he's in a coma. Because guys, back in Volume 1, by the way, I did cover that story. You did have Dr. Octopus help Norman Osborn with the Green Goblin experiment. The thing is though, when Norman Osborn turned into the Green Goblin for the first time, the whole lab blew up, which put Dr. Octopus in a coma. And so right now, we're seeing him in a coma. The thing is though, you do have two doctors just basically watching over Dr. Octopus to make sure that he's okay. The thing is though, he does wake up for the first time in like 2 months. The problem is though, the two doctors, they have no clue how in the world they're gonna tell him the fact that the 4 arms that he used to basically help Norman Osborn with the Green Goblin experiment is now fused to his body for a possibility of life. He now has 4 extra metal arms and they have no clue how in the world they're gonna tell him this. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Flash Thompson, Liz Allen, and Kong. And the thing is, guys, this part of the book right here, it's just them, just outside of the school, talking about their big school project. The thing is, though, this is the first appearance of Gwen Stacy. And the thing is, guys, the way Brian Michael Bendis wrote about Gwen Stacy in this book, he had her more as like a bad chick. Like this bad girl, you know, kind of like, I don't follow the rules. Matter of fact, I have been kicked out of not 1, not 2, but like 3 different schools. And Midtown is my last hope of finishing high school right now in the state of New York. And so like Gwen Stacy is completely different than the main Marvel timeline. Like completely. She's a bad girl. She's a bad chick. She does not follow the rules at all. But the thing is, guys, I want to sit down and say this is the first book that Gwen Stacy appeared in Ultimate Marvel. Now, to wrap up number 14, we do jump back over to Dr. Octopus talking to the 2 doctors. The thing is though, guys, a third person does walk in, and this person is Hank Pym. Now, We did cover Ultimates Volume 1 on my channel. But the thing is though, guys, that story right there takes place way down the road after this story right here. And so technically, this is the first appearance of Hank Pym in the Ultimate Marvel reading order. This is his first appearance. And the thing is, guys, you have Hank Pym just basically breaking it down to Dr. Octopus, saying, hey, listen, you're in a coma for like 2 months. By the way, also your 4 metal arms that you used to help Norman Osborn with the Green Goblin experiment is now fused with your body for life. It's part of you forever. It will be there with you for a very, very long time until we find a way to get them off of you. And the thing is, you do have our boy, Dr. Octopus, freak out, and he kills every single doctor in that laboratory except Hank Pym. He's kind of like, listen, I want you to tell me where I'm at right now, because I feel like you're also hiding other secrets about me. And the thing is, Hank Pym tells Otto the fact that yes, the world thinks you're dead. Like the world thinks you're dead, but in reality, we have been keeping you here to basically study you in those 4 metal arms. Now, we do jump over to Kong. Now guys, this part of the book right here is kind of Kong realizing something. Kong realized that every time Peter Parker disappears, Spider-Man appears. And so you have Kong kind of put 2 things together. He's kind of like, wait a second, Peter Parker, when he's gone, Spider-Man appears. Oh my God. He also got bit by a spider on our school field trip. Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And that wraps up number 14, with Peter Parker possibly having a bigger problem to deal with Kong figuring out that he is Spider-Man. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 15, with this book right here, guys, we do pick up with some random lady right now just working out in her own home. Now, here's the thing right here though, guys. She's at home doing one of those workout videos at home things. The thing is though, she does hear some kind of sound coming outside her house. She's kind of like, you know what? I'm okay. I'm inside. I should be safe. But then she hears more sounds, but this time it's coming from downstairs. She's kind of like, that's not good. Somebody broke into my home. Now, right before we jump over to the next scene of this book, we do see that somebody or something attacks her because she does scream really loud. And the thing is, right before we jump over to the next scene, we do see one of the 4 metal arms of Dr. Octopus. And it's kind of like, hey man, why in the world did you kill that woman for? That's the big question right there. Now, we do jump over to Kong and Flash Thompson because right now, guys, remember, at the end of number 14, Kong sat at home one day and put 2 things together. He's kind of like, wait a second, Peter Parker must be Spider-Man. And so right now, he's talking to Flash Thompson kind of like, hey, Flash, listen, Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and we've been blind for the past couple weeks. Like, dude, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Matter of fact, you have Kong telling Liz Allen the same thing too. He's kind of like, hey, Liz, listen, Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And the thing is, you have both Flash and Liz kind of like, dude, you're crazy. There's no way that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Like, there's no way. It's Peter Parker, man. There's no way. And so you have Kong kind of like, you know what? I'm gonna prove you wrong. I'm gonna walk over there and show you guys that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And of course, when Kong goes over to kick Peter Parker from behind and hoping that Peter will do some kind of amazing trick, Peter doesn't do anything. He lets Kong kick him in the back and let Peter fall to the ground to say, hey, I'm not Spider-Man. I don't know why in the world you did that, I don't know why you think I am Spider-Man, but I'm not Spider-Man. And so guys, technically right now, in the crowd full of people in the hallways of this high school, it looks like Kong just bullied Peter Parker. Now, you do have Gwen Stacy come out of nowhere and she pulls a knife. Guys, Gwen Stacy pulls a knife on Kong. She's kind of like, what's wrong with you, man? Are you a bully? Dude, bullies are not cool. Like, you have Gwen Stacy just going off on Kong. Now, of course, you know, you do have one of the principals walk up and grab Gwen by her hand saying, listen, come to my office and we are calling your father right now because this right here is so not cool, Gwen. This is like your third school. You cannot afford to be kicked out right now, kind of thing. Now, we do jump over to the crime scene. Now, guys, this crime scene is the house of that random lady that Dr. Octopus attacked earlier in this book right here. And thing is, guys, we get introduced to Gwen Stacy's father. And right now, Mr. Stacy's just walking around being a cop, trying to figure out what in the world happened at this crime scene. Why was this woman killed? Matter of fact, what killed her? Because her wounds do not look normal at all. And so right now he's trying to be a detective. But of course he does get a phone call from Midtown High, kind of like, hey man, listen, your daughter Gwen Stacy, yeah, she pulled a knife out on somebody. That ain't cool, bro. Now, to go ahead and wrap up Ultimate Spider-Man number 15, as George Stacy's trying to wrap up this crime scene so he can go to Midtown High and get to his daughter, we do see that Ben Urich is right now trying to question Gwen Stacy's dad. You have Ben Urich kind of like, hey man, what happened here? Because this right here used to be the home of Dr. Octopus. Could it be that Dr. Octopus did not die in that accident with Norman Osborn? Now, guys, remember, like I said earlier in this video, the doctors who were watching over Dr. Octopus, they told him, listen, the world believes that you are dead. Hank Pym told Octopus that, hey, listen, you are dead technically to the world, but you're still alive. We just told the world that you're dead. And so right now you have Ben Urich questioning George Stacy, the father of Gwen Stacy. Hey man, listen, is it true that this could be Doc Ock, that he killed her? Because this is his old home. Like, this is his old house right here. Could it be that this is Doc Ock? Now, we do jump over to the Daily Bugle, and guys, we do pick up again with Ben Urich. And thing is though, you do have Ben Urich talking to J. Jonah Jameson. And the thing is, guys, this part right here is Ben Urich saying, listen, after Norman Osborn accident back in volume 1, the world believed that almost every single person in that laboratory died except Norman Osborn. That Doc Ock died in that accident, but in reality, he's alive. He's out there. He's out there. Some big time government program kept Doc Ock hidden. He's out there. You have Ben Urich trying to tell JJ, listen, we need to publish this story. We need to tell the world that the government or some kind of program that works with the government basically tried to hide Doc Ock from the world, saying he died, but in reality, he lived. And the thing is, Peter Parker overhears Ben Urich and JJ's conversation, and Peter's kind of like, crap. Like, crap. Doc Ock is back. The thing is though, Doc Ock played a key role with Norman Osborn turning into the Green Goblin, a key role when it comes to Peter Parker in that spider bite. And so Peter's kind of like, oh crap, Doc Ock is back, and Doc Ock could figure out that I'm Spider-Man. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 16, with this book right here, guys, we do pick up with Dr. Octopus just basically breaking into somebody's office. Now, here's the thing right here though, guys. We have no clue who this office belongs to. All we know is that Dr. Octopus is looking for somebody who owns this office. Now, we come to find out, guys, that basically Dr. Octopus has forgotten everything. Now, back in number 14, it was assumed that he only forgot what happened up to the experiment, like the day of the experiment. But we come to find out that he forgot everything that took place at Oscorp before Peter Parker. When he first joined Oscorp up to the experiment, he forgotten everything thanks to that explosion at the lab back in volume 1. But the only thing he does remember is that whoever owns this office that he just broke into basically hired Dr. Octopus to go work for Norman Osborn, to sabotage Oscorp. And the thing is, we still have no idea who this office belongs to just yet. Now, we do jump over to the Daily Bugle. Now, guys, this part right here, it does seem a tad bit minor, but it is really important because we do see the first appearance of Ultimate Marvel Kraven. And the thing is, Kraven has been hired to come to New York to basically hunt Spider-Man. Now, guys, tell you the truth, all that right there took place in like one page. It was Marvel saying, hey, here's Kraven. He's on his way here to New York to find Spider-Man, to hunt him down because he has a TV show that he is trying to basically make more money for. It all took place in like 2 pages. But the thing is though, we do jump over to Ben Urich. And the thing is, guys, Ben Urich is trying to get a hold of George Stacy, the father of Gwen Stacy, because right now he wants more information about Dr. Octopus. But at the same time, Ben Urich knows some things about Doc Ock that he can tell George Stacy to help George Stacy to figure out how to capture Doc Ock. Now, we do pick up with Robbie, and the thing is, Robbie's trying to tell someone in the office of the Daily Bugle that he needs somebody to go down to Hammer Towers because it seemed like Dr. Octopus just broke into Hammer Towers. And guys, this gives us the answer on who this office belongs to. It belongs to Justin Hammer. And guys, this is our first appearance of Ultimate Marvel Justin Hammer. And the thing is, Justin Hammer did something to Doc Ock. Or basically, Justin Hammer hired Doc Ock to sabotage Oscorp, because Oscorp is Justin Hammer competition. And so when Peter Parker heard Robbie ask somebody to go down to Hammer Towers because of Doc Ock, you have Peter Parker quickly change into Spider-Man to go see if he can find Doc Ock and bring Doc Ock down. The thing is though, when he gets there, Doc Ock is gone. Doc Ock has been gone for a good few minutes. And now it's just Justin Hammer and 2 random SHIELD agents. Well, one of the agents is called Agent Carter. But right now, it's just SHIELD agents talking to Justin Hammer about what happened in his office. And basically, it's them going back and forth on, does he need SHIELD protection from Doc Ock? And that's really it. But to go ahead and wrap up number 16, at the very last page, a plane does arrive into New York. And that plane is holding one person, guys. And I did say it earlier that he was coming into New York to hunt Spider-Man. But this one plane that lands in New York is Ultimate Kraven. Kraven has arrived in New York to find Spider-Man and to bring him down. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 17, with this book right here, guys, we're gonna pick up right in the middle of the book. Like right in the middle. And the reason why, because basically in the first 10 pages, nothing really big happens. Like nothing big really happens. Like you have Peter Parker talking to Aunt May about Kraven arriving into New York. You have Kraven talking to his manager about, hey man, listen, if you are able to kill off the Spider-Man, you're gonna bring in some big money. And that's really it. Oh, and also Gwen Stacy has been allowed back into school after pulling the knife on one of the kids there. And so that's really it in the first 10 pages. I'm not lying, that's it. But guys, we're gonna jump over to Justin Hammer. And the reason why, because this is a big moment right here because we pick up with Justin Hammer in his limo. And the thing is, he calls up one of his scientists. He's kind of like, hey man, listen. So there's a guy out there named Dr. Octopus who wants to kill me. Like, he wants to murder me. I need one of our experiments to help me, to protect me from Doc Ock. And so you have the scientist kind of like, oh, that's it? Well, listen, man, I do have one experiment, but in reality, it's still not ready yet. It's Flint Marko, aka Sandman. We're still working the bugs out of him right now, but so far it does seem like he does have powers. And guys, this is our first appearance of Ultimate Marvel Sandman. And guys, we come to find out that Flint Marko went to Hammer for help to gain abilities, and Hammer's kind of like, bam, here you are. You now have powers of sand. There you go. Guys, Justin Hammer made Sandman in Ultimate Marvel. This is our first appearance of Flint Marko in Ultimate Marvel. But the thing is, at this point right here, Flint Marko does not have full control of his powers yet. He's still learning how to control his powers. And so right now, he's basically just useless. Like, he has not been able to control his powers just yet. And so right now, you have the scientists say, actually, he ain't ready. Yeah, luck, buddy. Like, he can't do anything for you. Like, you're screwed. I'm sorry. And it's kind of like, dang, man. Like, Hammer needs some kind of protection from Doc Ock. Now, we do jump over again to Hammer, but guys, we pick up at the dock somewhere in New York, some kind of dock in New York. The thing is though, Hammer is telling almost every big person in New York about his new project that he just finished that could end the energy crisis in the world. This big dome built in the middle of New York somewhere. Oh, actually off like a little island somewhere in New York. But this dome can end the energy crisis in New York, or possibility of the world. And so the thing is though, as Hammer is talking to the crowd and he has this big, huge presentation going on behind him, saying like, hey, these two guys are going to show you around the laboratory. They're going to show you every single thing we did inside this dome so far that could end the energy crisis. The thing is though, as the video stream is going on behind Hammer at this presentation, the crowd is watching Doc Ock murder every single scientist at that dome. And so while Hammer is going on like, yes, I can do this, I can do that, this dome is going to be amazing. Behind him on this live video stream of the dome, inside the dome, Doc Ock is killing every single person inside that dome. Every single person. And it's kind of like, oh crap. Oh crap. Like, Hammer turns around, he's kind of like, oh crap. Doc Ock is inside my dome, killing my people. Now, to wrap up number 17, Peter Parker at his high school, he gets word that Doc Ock is attacking this dome because the school's all like, listen, we are on lockdown right now because there is a huge problem in New York right now, so we're on lockdown. And so Peter knows, oh crap, that's Doc Ock. I have to leave. He's like, Mary Jane, I need you to cover for me. I'll be right back. It's time for me to be a superhero. And so you have Spider-Man basically web sling all the way over to the dome. And he does crash land right in front of Doc Ock. And that is the end of Ultimate Spider-Man number 17. And guys, this is where we're going to end today's video. Because guys, this is an 8-part story and we're already at almost 20 minutes long. Guys, we pick up with Ultimate Spider-Man number 18. And the thing is, guys, we do pick up where our last video left off at, with Spider-Man basically leaving high school early to go stop Doc Ock because Doc Ock was attacking one of Justin Hammer's projects. Thing is though, Spider-Man crash land at the very end of our last video in front of Doc Ock. And so guys, number 18 picks up where our last video left off at. Now guys, Brian Michael Bendis in this book right here, he basically said, you're gonna watch Spider-Man get his butt kicked by Doc Ock. In the first 12 pages, it's Doc Ock beating down on Peter Parker. Now, you would think that because Peter Parker has fought the Green Goblin, he has fought Electro, he has fought against the Kingpin, and you would think that he would be able to defend himself against all these different kind of attacks by now. But the thing is though, Doc Ock is something new, something different from those past characters. And so Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he still has to learn on what it's like to be a superhero, that you're going to have a different villain every single week. Yeah, you fought Electro and Kingpin last week, but this week, hey, guess what? You're fighting a guy who has 4 extra arms. Now, like I said, Doc Ock beats down on Spider-Man like he was nothing. I mean, Doc Ock punches and throws Peter Parker around the whole building like he is nothing. Now, you do have Doc Ock throw Spider-Man onto the docks in front of a bunch of S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Now, this is basically Doc Ock telling S.H.I.E.L.D. and telling the world, you can't stop me. If he couldn't stop me, then who else do you have that can stop me? Now, guys, remember, by this point in Ultimate Marvel, it takes place before Ultimates Volume 1, which means there's no Ultimates. Which means Captain America is not around, Iron Man's around, Thor's around, Black Widow, Hawkeye's around. But the thing is though, are you really going to call them in to stop one guy? Can you? Because Iron Man right now, at this point of Ultimate Marvel, does not work for S.H.I.E.L.D. Only Hawkeye and Black Widow does, and that's it. But can they stop Doc Ock? Can they? That's a big question right there. Now, you do have all these S.H.I.E.L.D. agents surround Peter Parker, kind of like, hey man, you're under arrest, we're gonna bring you in, it's time to give up. The thing is though, Peter Parker was able to get away and run back home to his house. Now, we do pick up with Peter Parker with Mary Jane, and Mary Jane being that good girlfriend, you know, basically taking care of Peter Parker because he got his butt kicked. He got bruises all over his body right now. And so it's kind of like, dude, you need an actual doctor. But I understand you can't go to a hospital because you're Spider-Man. Now, Mary Jane does clean him up, kiss him goodbye, and she goes home. But to wrap up number 18, at the very end of this book right here, Aunt May, she is walking down the staircase while Peter Parker is still in his Spider-Man outfit and also badly bruised and beat up by Doc Ock. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 19, with this book right here guys, it does pick up where number 18 left off at. Now, you do have Aunt May about to walk in the room and basically see her nephew, Peter Parker, in his Spider-Man outfit. Now guys, it does seem like, oh crap, Aunt May is about to find out that her nephew is Spider-Man. But luckily for Peter Parker, there was a window right behind him. And so he was able to climb out the window, climb upstairs to his upstairs bathroom and say, hey Aunt May, I'm upstairs, I'm in my bathroom, don't worry, I have the runs, so do not come in the bathroom. Basically saying, hey listen, I'm in my Spider-Man outfit, please don't come in here. Now, we do jump over to Midtown High. Now guys, we do open up with Peter Parker and Mary Jane talking to one another. Basically guys, is Mary Jane checking up on her boyfriend because hey, he just got beat up on by Doc Ock in the last book. She's kind of like, hey, are you okay? He's kind of like, yeah, I'm good. I just wish all my bruises go away by now. Now, Kraven walks into Midtown High. Now guys, remember, in our last video, we discussed that Kraven, he flew into New York to hunt down Spider-Man for his TV show to improve the ratings because, hey, his TV show is not doing that well right now. And so if he's able to hunt down Spider-Man, his ratings will fly to the roof. And so right now he's here at Midtown High looking for clues to be able to find Spider-Man. Because guys, remember, back in volume 1, the Green Goblin attacked Midtown High looking for Peter Parker. And so right now it's Kraven kind of like, if I'm able to go through this high school and find some kind of evidence that can lead me to whoever Spider-Man is, it will make my job easier. Now, luckily for Peter Parker, Kraven was not able to find anything that can lead him to Peter Parker. So it's kind of like, whoo, you got lucky. Now, we are going to jump over a few pages in this book right here. But the thing is though, guys, we pick up with Justin Hammer in his office. Now guys, remember, Justin Hammer, he was the guy who sent over Doc Ock to Oscorp to basically sabotage Oscorp. Because Justin Hammer and Norman Osborn, they were competitors against each other. They both ran two businesses that were fighting over the best title ever, like, you know, the military contracts. And so Justin Hammer sent Doc Ock over to sabotage Oscorp. The thing is though, guys, back in volume 1, when Norman Osborn and Doc Ock worked on the Green Goblin formula, the lab blew up. The lab blew up. And so guys, we jump back to Justin Hammer in his office, and he's calling up his scientists at the labs, kind of like, listen, tell me that one of our projects is ready to go to protect me against Doc Ock. The thing is though, guys, Doc Ock is at that lab and he killed the scientist that Hammer is trying to talk to. And so you have Hammer kind of like, Doc, you know, what are you doing? Like, why'd you kill him? And he says, I'm here to get revenge against you, Justin. You sent me over to Oscorp to sabotage that company. And look what happened to me. When Norman Osborn worked on that random project of his lab blew up. And these arms are now attached to my body. It's your fault that we're here right now. It's your fault. And so you have Doc Ock say, you will come down here to talk to me in person. And if you don't come, I'll come to you and basically kill you in your office. And so you have Hammer say, I have no choice. He blames me for what happened to him. Yes, I did send him over there to sabotage Oscorp, but I did not know that Norman Osborn laboratory will blow up. I didn't know that, but I have to talk to Doc Ock. And so you have Justin Hammer get in his limo and drive down to meet up with Doc Ock. Now, to wrap up number 19, guys, a lot of things happen in this book right here at the end. Because you do have Spider-Man get on the limo on the roof. Oh, I'm sorry. He gets on the roof of the limo to follow Hammer all the way up to Doc Ock, because Peter Parker wants to stop Doc Ock before this goes even farther. Now, we do jump over to Kraven real quick. And the thing is though, guys, Kraven, right now, Kraven, his agent says, hey, listen, man, we just spotted Spider-Man. Right now, he's on top of a limo heading to New Jersey. And so you have Kraven say, let's go. It's time for me to bring him down, to bring him in for two reasons. One, because the hunt, but two, to save my TV show. And so you have Kraven change into his Kraven outfit to go hunt Peter Parker. Now, to wrap up number 19, as soon as Justin Hammer arrives in New Jersey to meet with Doc Ock, he sees that Doc Ock, he called every single news channel you can think of in New Jersey, and he says, welcome. You guys are about to find out the biggest secret from a man in New York. This man right here. This man right here. He sabotaged my life. And he tried to sabotage Oscorp. And he is going to tell the truth right here, right now, in front of every single live camera. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 20, with this book right here, guys, it does pick up where number 19 left off at. Now, you do have Doc Ock telling every single news channel there the truth. He's saying, listen, that man right there in that limo, Justin Hammer, he sent me to go over to Oscorp to basically sabotage that company. And when I got there, I was working fine with Norman Osborn. But when Norman Osborn started to work on his little Oz formula, his laboratory blew up. And now these arms are part of my body. And it's all because of Justin Hammer. Because he wanted to end Oscorp so bad, he sent me over there to basically sabotage that company. Now, you do have Doc Ock say, get out of that limo, get over here and tell every single person here the truth. Like, I want you out of that limo and telling every single news channel the truth. That it's because of you that I'm like this right now. Now, you do have Hammer kind of like, no, I am not getting out of his limo because you'll kill me. I'm not that crazy. The thing is though, Doc Ock starts to attack the limo. He's kind of like, you have two options. Get out of that limo or die in that limo. It's up to you. But either way, you're gonna die. And so it's kind of like, well, dang, Doc, chill a little bit. Now, Peter Parker does arrive as Spider-Man to fight against Doc Ock. Now, guys, this point storyline right here is basically Brian Michael Bendis saying Peter knows how to fight against Doc Ock now. He knows how to handle himself against Doc Ock. And so even though the fight does last for like a few pages, Peter Parker was able to defeat Doc Ock just like that. Like, bam, we're done, cool, it's over. Now, it does seem like, well, this will be the end of the story because Doc Ock is defeated. Peter Parker was able to save everybody and defeat Doc Ock. But the thing is though, to wrap up number 20, we forgot about one character who came to New York to basically hunt Peter Parker down, Kraven. Kraven arrives and he's kind of like, hey, listen, you fought against Doc Ock and you beat him, but now you're tired, now you're exhausted, and that gives me the edge to defeat you for my TV show. And that wraps up Ultimate Spider-Man number 20. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 21, with this book right here, guys, it does pick up where the last book left off at. Now, guys, this is the book that basically wraps everything up for us for Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 3. Now, we do pick up with Kraven about to fight against Spider-Man. Now, guys, real quick side note. The way Brian Michael Bendis sat down and portrayed Kraven in the storyline, Brian Michael Bendis is basically saying Kraven is a C-list super villain. What I mean is that if you sit down and think about it, guys, Peter Parker has not been able to defeat somebody when he first meet them. For example, Green Goblin, he got lucky because the police arrived and shot Green Goblin. Electro Kingpin, when he first met those characters, he lost that fight. Doc Ock, same thing too. Lost that first fight. But for Kraven, he was kind of like, you know what? He's a C-list villain and Peter Parker should be able to defeat Kraven in a few pages. And bam, just like that, Kraven was defeated by Peter Parker. And you're kind of like, are you serious? Just like that? That easily? Because Kraven is not that easy most times. But for Brian Michael Bendis, he's saying in Ultimate Marvel, Kraven is a nobody. He's someone that can be easily defeated. Even though Peter Parker just fought against Doc Ock and exhausted, he was able to defeat Kraven like it was no big deal. Now, we do jump over to the home of the Parkers because, guys, Peter Parker is in trouble. Because he was in New Jersey when he fought against Doc Ock and Kraven. And the thing is, he has to get home because he's past curfew right now. And so Peter Parker's kind of like, okay, if I can get home, maybe Aunt May is already in bed. Maybe she's not awake. The thing is, though, as soon as he walks in the house, she is right there. And she's kind of like, hi, Peter Parker. Where in the world were you tonight? You are past curfew. And Peter's kind of like, oh, well, Aunt May, I was at the Daily Bugle. And then you have her say, oh, I called there. They told me you had today off. Then he said, oh, well, I was with Mary Jane. And you have her say, oh, it's funny because I called there. And her mom said you were not there. So one more time, tell me, where in the world were you, Peter Parker? And the thing is, guys, Peter Parker's kind of like, I can't tell her that I'm Spider-Man. I can't tell her that. That is something I cannot literally tell her. And so, guys, he says, I can't tell you. And that just ticks off Aunt May. She's kind of like, you know what? You're grounded. You're grounded. Like, if you want to be in my house as a liar, well, you're grounded. There's no more free time for you. It's school, then here. Daily Bugle, you'll have to quit. You are no longer allowed to be anywhere else at all. And it's kind of like, dang. She's going to make him quit his job, not see his girlfriend, and that's it. Like, dang, that's crazy. Anyways, and so you have Peter Parker go upstairs and basically starts pouting. He's kind of like, dang, you know, I just saved New York and New Jersey from Doc Ock and Kraven, but I'm grounded. Cool. Now, to wrap up number 21 in volume 3 of Spider-Man, we do pick up with Doc Ock in the prison of S.H.I.E.L.D. And the thing is, guys, Doc Ock, he starts to remember more things. He sits down and realizes, wait a second, the reason why Norman Osborn laboratory blew up because he was working on the Oz formula. Because the Oz formula worked on Peter Parker, who got bit by a spider. I just fought Spider-Man. And he realized Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And so now, guys, Doc Ock also knows that Peter Parker is Spider-Man. And guys, that is the ending of volume 3 of Ultimate Spider-Man. With Ultimate Spider-Man number 22. And the thing is, though, guys, with this book right here, the opening pages is basically just Peter Parker being a superhero. That's really it. Because you have a bunch of kids who are out there right now on roller skates going around New York and just stealing people's stuff on the streets. And of course, you got Peter Parker being Spider-Man going around and basically stopping those kids from getting away. Those pages right there do not matter at all. Now, we do jump forward to Peter Parker arriving to school late. And of course, you know, when he gets there late, the teachers are mad at him, but they forgive him because he is the smartest kid in school. Now, you do have Mary Jane and Peter Parker talk about, you know, basically what happened at the end of our video of volume 3. And the thing is, though, guys, at the end of volume 3, Peter Parker did defeat Doc Ock. He did defeat Kraven the Hunter. The problem was, though, guys, when he got home so late, Aunt May said, you're grounded. Like, you're basically grounded. You got home so late, you lied to me. I called your job. I called your boss. I saw your job. I called your job. I called your girlfriend, and they told me that you weren't there. And so she basically flat out grounded Peter Parker. And so you have Peter Parker tell Mary Jane, listen, I'm grounded now. I'm grounded. Like, I can't leave. I can't be Spider-Man. I can't go to work. And you cannot definitely not come over because, again, I am grounded. Now, while Peter Parker and Mary Jane are talking to one another, Harry Osborn arrives out of nowhere. And guys, we have not seen Harry Osborn ever since the ending of Volume 1, when he had basically an episode in front of school saying that was my father. My father tried to kill me. He was that monster. Guys, last time we saw Harry Osborn, he had a breakdown. He had a huge breakdown in front of the school. And so the police officers just took him away. And so, guys, with him being back here, you kind of have Peter Parker and Mary Jane and the rest of the school kind of like, Harry, why are you here? Where have you been? We thought we would never see you again. Like, what happened? And you have Harry say, listen, I had a breakdown. I had to see some doctors. They kind of helped me through my mom's death. But, I'm better now. Now, you do have Harry look at Peter and say, hey, Peter, by the way, my dad wants to see you. My dad wants to hang out with you. And for Peter, it's kind of like, what? Your dad? But I thought your dad, was dead, or that monster that tried to kill Spider-Man. And you have Harry said, no, that was me being crazy. That was not my father. It's okay. Like, he's all good now. We're happy. We actually have a better father and son relationship now. Now, you do have Peter tell Harry that he can't because, hey, Aunt May grounded me, so I can't go over for dinner because I'm grounded. Now, you do have Peter web-sling home to his house. Now, on his way home, Peter is freaking out because he knows that Norman Osborn knows that he is Spider-Man, which means Norman Osborn could come after Aunt May. And so right now, Peter is just freaking out. He's kind of like, I can't believe that Norman Osborn is back. This is not good at all. Now, when he does get home to his school, he does see a limo and some random lady in his house. And this lady tells Peter and Aunt May that Norman Osborn has invited Peter over for dinner. Now, guys, this is Norman saying, I am not taking a no for an answer. You are coming over for dinner. And so you have Aunt May tell the lady, like Norman Osborn's assistant, yes, Peter can go. Yes, he's grounded, but this is his best friend that he has not seen in a long time. So Peter, you can go. You can go see your best friend and his father. And so Peter does get inside the limo and he does go to the Osborn's home in the middle of the city. Now, guys, you do have Harry kind of like walk Peter up to the penthouse and everything. You kind of have Harry tell Peter like, hey, listen, I talked to your girl, Mary Jane, and she really does love you, man. So don't mess up. Now, after Harry tells Peter that, Harry said, listen, I have to go finish with my doctor. Go in there. My dad wants to talk to you alone. And so you do have Peter go inside Norman Osborn's office. And Norman Osborn does walk out. Now, guys, this is crazy right here because you do have Norman Osborn say, listen, last time I saw you, I could not control my alter ego, the Goblin. I could not control that at all. But now I can. I can control it. And by the way, I've been watching you. I've been watching you for the past few months now, whatever. You know, when you fought Kingpin and Electro, when you fought Doc Ock and Craven, I have been following you for the past couple months. And the thing is, listen, since it was, I can't talk, guys, sorry. He said, listen to me, Peter Parker. Thanks to me, you're Spider-Man. So you are going to basically work with me. And you have Norman Osborn turn into the Green Goblin and saying, you, again, will work for me. And guys, that wraps up Spider-Man number 22. But the next book, 23, gets even better. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 23, it does pick up where number 22 left off at. Now, guys, with this book right here, it is basically Norman Osborn, the first half, telling Peter Parker, listen, Harry Osborn, my son, he has no idea about this at all. He has no idea that I can transform into this goblin form. And the thing is, even if you tell him, he'll believe you because, hey, I'm his father. And right now, me and him, we have one of the best relationships right now between a father and a son. And so you can run off and try to tell Harry, but he won't believe you. Now, you do have Norman Osborn continue to tell Peter, listen, it's thanks to me that you are able to do these spider-like things. It's thanks to me that you are a superhero. So listen to me now, Peter Parker. Because I made you, because it was my formula, I technically own you. So you are going to work for me. You are going to help me out and help me complete my mission. And so you will not be a superhero anymore. You'll work alongside with me as we try to basically take over New York. Now, guys, you have Norman Osborn tell Peter, you cannot run anywhere. Nobody can help you. And if you try to run to anybody, I will kill your aunt. I will kill your girlfriend, Mary Jane. I will kill every single person you love. Now, you do have like Harry Osborn walk in and you do have Harry talk to Peter and Norman like, nothing big just happened right here. But the whole time, Peter Parker is freaking out. He is freaking out because he's kind of like, oh my God, if I do anything, this man will kill my Aunt May. This man will kill not Gwen Stacy. This man will kill Mary Jane. What can I do? Like, I'm basically stuck right now. Now, you do have Peter Parker just run off. He runs away and basically try to get away from Norman Osborn. He's kind of like, I have to leave. I have to get away. I have to go home to my Aunt May. Now, the thing is though, guys, he does run home to Aunt May. He hugs her. He cries in her arms. And the thing is, Aunt May knows that something is wrong with Peter Parker, but she is not going to ask him what's wrong. She's kind of like, you know what? Something happened to you. Let's hug it out. I'm here for you. I'm your aunt. I've been here for you for years. Just go ahead and cry it out. Now, we do jump forward like a couple hours after Peter Parker had ran home after visiting the Osborns. And the thing is, he's on the phone with Mary Jane, and he kind of wants to tell Mary Jane that, listen, I need you to stay away from Harry. I need you to stay away from the Osborns, period. Like, stay away from them. The thing is, though, guys, out of nowhere, somebody knocks on his basement door. And of course, it is Gwen Stacy. Now, the reason why she is here, this is basically Brian Michael Bendis getting ready to develop Gwen Stacy more in Ultimate Marvel. Because, guys, you have Gwen Stacy tell Peter Parker and also Aunt May that her mom just ran off. Her mom just ran off to Chicago with some man and left her and her father behind. And so you do have Aunt May call up George Stacy, Gwen Stacy's father, but while they wait for her father to appear, you do have Aunt May kind of talk to Gwen, kind of like a second mom, kind of like, hey, listen, your mom left you. So if you need someone to talk to, someone who's a grown woman, you can come to me and talk to me about your problems. Now, to wrap up number 23, we do pick up the next day in high school. And the thing is, you do have Gwen Stacy tell Mary Jane about what happened last night with Peter Parker, Aunt May, and Gwen Stacy. And of course, Mary Jane does not like the fact that Peter had someone else over, and especially Gwen Stacy. Now, Mary Jane wants to talk to Peter Parker, but at the same time, Peter Parker wants to talk to Mary Jane about the Osborns. The problem is, though, right before they are able to talk to each other, somebody calls Peter Parker over the intercom saying, Peter Parker, please come to this room right here. And when he does, the room starts to change, and that wraps up number 23. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 24, with this book right here, guys, this is the book where we basically learn a lot about S.H.I.E.L.D. in this book right here. Because, guys, we come to find out the person that called Peter Parker into the classroom was no other than Nick Fury. Now, guys, this is again not the first appearance of Nick Fury in Ultimate Comics. He first appeared back in Ultimate X-Men, but now, guys, he is here in Ultimate Spider-Man. And the thing is, though, guys, you have Nick Fury kind of tell Peter Parker, listen here. We have been watching over you ever since you became Spider-Man. We've been watching over you when you fought the Kingpin and Electro, when you fought Doc Ock and Kraven. We have been watching over you this whole time. This whole time, we have been watching over you. But here's the thing right here, though. We do know that Norman Osborn has basically contacted you. We know that he is the Green Goblin. And the thing is, we are watching over you and your aunt and your girlfriend Mary Jane. We are making sure that every single person is okay. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of like, okay, cool. I'm happy you're here. But here's the thing, though. I need you to go ahead and arrest Norman Osborn. And the thing is, though, you have Nick Fury saying, we can't do that. Even though we are watching over you, even though we know on everything he has done to you and possibly to Harry Osborn, we can't do anything towards him. We can't touch him because technically we're breaking the law. We are illegally watching over you. And so until he makes a move on you and your aunt and your girlfriend Mary Jane, we can't do anything, Peter. Like, you're screwed. Again, until he does something, we can't do anything for you. Now, that pissed off Peter Parker. He's kind of like, then what are you good for? You're telling me the only time you're able to step in and help me is when I'm basically being attacked, or my Aunt May's being hurt, or Mary Jane's being hurt. And the thing is, you have Nick Fury trying to calm down Peter, but Peter is kind of like, dude, no. You are putting my aunt and Mary Jane and my life here on the edge for Norman Osborn to come by and just go ahead and kill us. We can't have this. And so Peter Parker, he runs out. He leaves the school, and he tries to go home. Now, when he goes home, though, he does see another limo in front of his house. And the thing is, though, you have Norman Osborn basically sent a limo, and he invited both Aunt May and Peter Parker over for dinner. And the thing is, though, you have Peter say, Aunt May, listen, we are staying away from the Osborns. We are staying away. We are not going over there. And at first, Aunt May is kind of like, Peter, what's wrong with you? He's your best friend. He's your best friend's father. Like, what's wrong with you? But Peter's telling Aunt May, we can't go. We cannot go there, because if we go there, we're screwed. We are literally screwed. We're staying here. Now, some time does pass. And the thing is, though, you do have Peter Parker change into his Spider-Man outfit. And the thing is, he web slings over to Norman Osborn. Now, guys, listen to me. You do have Peter kind of talk smack to Norman, kind of like, you will leave my Aunt May alone. You will leave my Mary Jane alone. You will leave me alone. Just get out of my life. But the thing is, though, you have Norman Osborn tell Peter, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to stay. You do not understand that you, sooner or later, are going to work for me. You are going to help me. No matter what you try to do, nobody can help you. And guys, he says this right here. He said, let me prove to you that no matter what you do, I will always hurt somebody you love. Because thing is, guys, as Norman Osborn and Peter Parker are talking to one another in their Green Goblin and their Spider-Man outfit, down below, Mary Jane is arriving at the Oscorp home with Harry. And so as soon as she arrives, you have Norman Osborn fall down from the top level in his Green Goblin form. He jumps down, he grabs Mary Jane, and you have Peter Parker just freaking out because now his girlfriend's life is in danger. She could die by the hands of Norman Osborn, aka the Green Goblin. And that wraps up number 24. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 25, with this book right here, guys, this book is kind of weird, but not in a bad way. What I mean is that, guys, we pick up in the past. Because, guys, Brian Michael Bendis, when he sat down and wrote this book right here, this book was more of, okay, let's explain what happened to Norman Osborn and Harry Osborn in the months they were gone from Volume 1 all the way up to Volume 4. Because, guys, at the end of Volume 1, we saw Norman Osborn get shot by the police officers and he disappeared. Harry Osborn had a breakdown and he was sent away by the police officers. And so we haven't seen them for months in comics. And so out of nowhere, they reappear and they're best buds. Harry Osborn's like, yeah, my dad loves me. He cares for me now. Like, we're really close. And it's weird because back in Volume 1, they weren't close. They were not close at all. Matter of fact, Norman Osborn hated his son. And so for Harry to be like, yeah, my dad loves me now, it's weird. And the thing is, though, guys, you have Brian Michael Bendis give us a quick rundown saying, listen, after Volume 1, Harry Osborn, Norman Osborn, they did go away somewhere, away from the world. The thing is, though, Norman Osborn hired some doctor to sit down and talk to Harry Osborn. And the thing is, though, guys, this doctor basically put Harry Osborn under some kind of spell to make him believe, like, yeah, your dad loves you. Your dad cares for you. Like, your dad will never do anything wrong with you. And the thing is, that spell worked on Harry. Harry's all like, you're right. My dad loves me. My dad does care for me. But in reality, Norman Osborn is using Harry as a way to get back to Peter. Now, guys, we do jump back to the present day. And guys, this is what I like about Brian Michael Bendis in Ultimate Marvel. Because, guys, Ultimate Marvel was a way to take old storylines or old scenes and bring them back to life again in the modern day comics. And so right now, guys, we pick up with the iconic bridge scene. Now, guys, back in the Amazing Spider-Man number 121 in the main Marvel timeline, I want to say it's 121, but back in that book right there, guys, Gwen Stacy died on a bridge. Green Goblin kidnapped her. He basically threw her off the bridge. You have Peter Parker go down as Spider-Man to save her life. He shot a web, and when he shot that web, it broke her neck, killing Gwen Stacy. That was a big iconic scene. And so right now with this book right here, this is Brian Michael Bendis saying, hey, listen, here's Green Goblin, here's Mary Jane, they're on a bridge, and whoop, there you go. Green Goblin just threw Mary Jane off the bridge, and now she's falling to her death. Now, luckily, Peter Parker's right there, just like he was with Gwen Stacy. The thing is, though, when Peter swings down to grab Mary Jane and they get down safely to the ground, she does not wake up. It does appear that Mary Jane just died in Ultimate Marvel at the end of Ultimate Spider-Man number 25. Peter's kind of like, hey, babe, wake up. Mary Jane, wake up. I got you. You're alive. But she's not waking up. And does look like she had died by the hand of Green Goblin. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 26, with this book right here, guys, this is the book where basically, guys, we come to find out Mary Jane does not die. She survived. Because, guys, in the opening pages, you do have Peter Parker look down and Mary Jane's all like, hey, Peter, I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm still here. He did not win. He did not kill me. And Peter Parker is kind of like, oh, thank the Lord. She did not die. Like, I'm so excited. But anyways, you got Peter Parker take Mary Jane to a random cab. And he's kind of like, listen, cab driver, get her out of here. Like, get her far away from here right now because it's about to go down. And so you got Peter Parker fighting against Norman Osborn. And guys, this is the fight that we have basically been waiting for. It's Peter Parker fighting against the Green Goblin, a legendary battle. Now, guys, you do have S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of like moving in. They're kind of like, oh crap, they're fighting all over New York. We need to step in right now and hopefully bring them down. Now, here's the thing though, guys. When it comes to the Ultimate Green Goblin and Ultimate Marvel, he can't keep this form for too long. He has to go back and basically re-inject the Oz formula into his body to keep this form. And so he leaves the battle in New York to go back to the base, his penthouse, to get more Oz formula to keep fighting against Peter Parker and S.H.I.E.L.D. Now, of course, you got Peter following him all the way there because Peter wants to end this. Peter wants to put Peter wants to put Norman Osborn away. He wants him gone, locked away forever and ever. And so they continue their fight in the penthouse. But guys, this is where things get even worse because Harry Osborn walks in. And when Harry Osborn walks into the room, he sees the Green Goblin, the same creature that he believed back in Volume 1 to be his father, is back again. He's kind of like, oh my God, you are the Green Goblin. My dad is this monster. Oh my God. But thing is though, guys, he does see the Green Goblin choking out Spider-Man, but Spider-Man's mask is torn off. And so Harry Osborn can see that his best friend is a superhero in New York. Harry Osborn just found out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, but he's about to die by the hand of his own father. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 27, this is the book that basically wraps everything up for us. This is the end of Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 4. Now, you do have, Harry Osborn looking at his father, looking at Peter Parker, which, by the way, is Spider-Man. And he's kind of like, what in the world is going on? Like, my dad is the Green Goblin. My dad is killing my best friend. Like, what in the world is going on right now? What do I do? What can I do? And so you have Harry Osborn just stand there. Now, you do have Peter Parker able to break out of the hold of Norman Osborn to continue their fight. Now, they do go back and forth for like a few more pages, but Norman Osborn was able to get a hold of Peter Parker one more time. And it does seem like this time Norman Osborn is going to kill off Peter Parker. Now, while Norman Osborn is trying to kill off Peter Parker, Harry Osborn was able to grab some kind of metal pole and stab his own father right in the back. Like, he stabbed his own father right in the back. And with him doing that right there, guys, it does turn Norman Osborn back into his regular human form, which does end the battle between the Green Goblin and Spider-Man. Now, Harry Osborn, he faints. He's kind of like, yo, this is too much to handle. Like, no. And so he faints. But you do have S.H.I.E.L.D. and Nick Fury rush into the penthouse. And they're kind of like, okay, guys, we got this now. Y'all can all leave. Peter Parker, you can leave too. We got Harry. We got Norman. Like, we're good, y'all. We good. We got this. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of talking to Nick Fury. He's kind of like, this is all your fault. Like, this is all your fault. If you had just stepped in and took care of Norman Osborn, none of this would have happened. Mary Jane almost died. My best friend almost died. I almost died. You have Peter Parker tell Nick Fury, all of this could have been handled if you had just stepped in. Now, Nick Fury, he's kind of like, listen, man, do you know who you talking to? You're talking to Nick Fury. Like, man, listen, stay in your corner and be quiet. Now, before Peter Parker leaves S.H.I.E.L.D. behind, you do have Nick Fury tell Peter Parker one big thing. He says, listen, when you turn 18 years old, you belong to America. Like, I have the rights to grab you and make you work for S.H.I.E.L.D. and put you on my little superhero team, the Ultimates. So when you turn 18 years old, you will belong to me. Do you understand? And that right there just pissed off Peter Parker. And he runs off. Because, guys, Nick Fury is saying, you are a kid right now with superpowers. And right now in America, if you have powers and you're not working with the X-Men or the Fantastic Four, you're going to end up with me on my team. And so right now, you will sooner or later be on the Ultimates when you turn 18 years old. Now, Peter Parker does run away from Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D. and he does go meet up with Mary Jane at this random warehouse. And the thing is, though, guys, this is Brian Michael Bendis saying Peter Parker is freaking out. He's freaking out. His best friend dad just returned and almost killed him, his girlfriend, and could have killed his own aunt. But also, you had Nick Fury basically tell Peter Parker that when he's 18, his life is over. His freedom is over. That he will have to work for S.H.I.E.L.D. and be a part of the Ultimates. And so, for Peter Parker, he's kind of like Mary Jane. I'm happy you're alive. I'm happy I'm alive. But for right now, I just can't talk to you about what I just found out about Harry and Norman and about me and also S.H.I.E.L.D. Like, can we just sit here in peace and quiet? And that with this book right here, we pick up with Ben Urich. Now, right now, he's just at the bank, doing your usual bank thing. You're trying to figure out why your car's not working, trying to get some money, the usual bank thing. The problem is, though, out of nowhere, somebody who dresses up as Spider-Man walks into the bank and basically starts to rob the bank. He goes in there, he's yelling at every single person, he beats up on the bank manager, and he takes the money and leaves. And the way he leaves, he is actually web slinging. And so Ben Urich is kind of like, what in the world is going on? Why did Spider-Man just suddenly change into a bad guy? Why did he decide today he is going to rob a bank? Now, we do jump over to the Daily Bugle. And guys, a couple hours have passed by, of course. But the thing is now, Ben Urich is talking to J. Jonah Jameson. And you have Ben Urich kind of like, hey, so I was at the bank and Spider-Man came in there and he robbed the bank. And to JJ is kind of like, you're not joking. You're telling the truth. Spider-Man just robbed a bank. So that means we got our front page right here. So you sit down, write that article. You, Robbie, we need a picture of Spider-Man for the front page. Like, we got gold right here. The thing is, though, you got Ben Urich tell JJ, listen, man, I don't think that was Spider-Man, though. I think that was somebody else. And you have JJ turn around kind of like, what do you mean that wasn't Spider-Man? Like, didn't you see him rob the bank? Didn't you see him web sling away? And you have Ben Urich kind of like, yeah, but it still doesn't make sense. Why would he just out of nowhere start to rob a bank? Out of nowhere. It does not make sense because last week he was fighting against Doc Ock. So why again would he do this? And so you have Peter Parker walk in kind of like, hey, what's going on? And you have Betty Brant tell Peter, hey, by the way, Spider-Man basically robbed a bank and now he's wanted by police. And also JJ wants to publish a front page with this story right here. And so with Peter hearing that right there, he's kind of like, great, my life just got even worse. And so Peter Parker cannot even web sling home. He's going to train and ride a train all the way home because of what is going on. Now, when he gets home, he does see a police car out front. Now, for Peter, this is not good. This is actually terrifying because the thing is, Uncle Ben just died a few months ago. And so Peter is kind of like, oh crap, Aunt May, she could be hurt. When he runs in, he sees Gwen Stacy on the couch asleep. He sees Aunt May and George Stacy, the father of Gwen Stacy, talking in the kitchen. And so Peter's kind of like, okay, what's going on? Why are these two talking? And thing is, you have Aunt May and George Stacy talking to one another about letting Gwen Stacy stay with Peter Parker and May Parker because the mom just left them. The mom ran out saying, I can't be here anymore. I'm gone. But also, George Stacy has to go down for a meeting, for a conference. And so he needs somebody to watch over to watch over Gwen Stacy. And that is Aunt May and Peter Parker. And so Gwen Stacy is going to stay with the Parkers. Now we do jump forward to Peter Parker telling Mary Jane. And of course, like any other woman who finds out that some other girl is going to stay with their man in the same house, she freaks out. She's kind of like, no, that's not cool. That's not cool at all. Like, no, I'm jealous of her. I feel like she likes you. Like, no, she can't stay here. She gets so mad, she literally walks out of the house of the Parker's house. Now, you do get Peter Parker hearing that the same guy who earlier dressed up as Spider-Man who robbed the bank is once again robbing another bank. And so Spider-Man, Peter Parker, he changed into his spider outfit to go confront this imposter. The thing is though, when he web slings in front of the police officers, they shoot at him. And one bullet actually hits Spider-Man right in the shoulder. And guys, that wraps up number 29 right there. Now guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 30, this book right here, guys, it does pick up where number 29 left off at. Now, of course, we just saw Peter Parker got shot. And so it's kind of like, oh crap, Peter Parker just got shot. Like, what in the world is going to happen next? Now, of course, you do have police officers move in on Peter Parker and put handcuffs on him and start to arrest him and basically throw him in the back of a police car. And they actually try to pull off his mask to see who he is. Like, hey, who's the man under this spider mask? Now, Peter was able to regain consciousness and wakes up and says, oh crap, they're trying to arrest me. They're trying to throw me back in a police car. I need to get out of here. And so you have Peter Parker like literally roundhouse kick a man in the face, one of the police officers, to get away. And so you do have police officers start to chase down Peter Parker. And once again, they start to continue to shoot at him to hopefully hit him one more time. Now, you do have police choppers in the air trying to do the same thing also. They're trying to shoot him down. But luckily, because Peter Parker got some amazing spider powers, he was able to get away and he hid in a nearby dumpster. Now, he does call up Mary Jane. Now, guys, but right before he calls up Mary Jane, we come to find out that Mary Jane is having nightmares. She is having nightmares because what happened to her in the last video where the Green Goblin almost killed her. And so she's having nightmares. And the thing is, she can't see a therapist because her nightmare revolves around Peter Parker being Spider-Man. and she can't talk about that to anybody because that would give away his identity. And so you have her kind of like writing her diary, kind of like, I'm having these crazy nightmares. I'm scared for Peter Parker. Like, what else can happen? Now, we do jump forward to the point where Peter Parker does call up Mary Jane. And the thing is, he says, help me. Like, help me. And so Mary Jane gets in the cab, she drives over to where he's at, and she finds him in the dumpster with a bullet wound. And she starts crying, she starts to freak out, and you have Peter kind of like, listen, I didn't call you so you can cry and freak out. I called you to help me out. I need you to take me somewhere to get healed up. And so Mary Jane takes Peter Parker to a hospital. Now, she does change his clothes and everything, but what she does also is that she let Peter Parker go in first without any ID. And so when he collapsed right in the middle of the hospital, they're kind of like, who is he? Who's he with? Where's his ID? Well, he has none of that stuff. He can't answer those questions, and he has no ID. And so when they look at Mary Jane, she says, no, I'm here with my grandma and my grandpa. I don't know who that guy is either. And so it was a way for the doctors to give Peter Parker a free checkup. Not a checkup, but more of a free, how you say it? Wow, I lost my train of words, my words. Anyways, you have the doctors basically work on Peter Parker and patch him up for free. And so, of course, he was able to get away from the police officers and the hospital staff before they're able to figure out, hey, this kid is 15 years old. He got a bullet wound. This kid could be Spider-Man. And so you do have Peter Parker web slinging Mary Jane and him back home to Queens. Now, Peter Parker does sneak inside before Aunt May realizes that her nephew has been out all day. But when he goes upstairs, he does turn on the TV. And the thing is, you have George Stacy tell the news channel that, listen, Spider-Man is now a wanted man. He is basically a vigilante, and we do not need any more vigilantes in New York. So right now, but Spider-Man is a wanted man in New York. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 31, with this book right here, guys, this is the book where Brian Michael Bendis basically pulls a classic story and he says, we are going to sit down and do the same classic story once again, but in a different way. And you'll see what I mean, guys, because we pick up with Peter Parker in school. And the thing is, guys, Peter Parker is just trying to get through the school day. The big problem is, though, he still is not feeling so well after being shot in the last book. The thing is, though, Peter Parker can't go anywhere for help because if he does, well, hey, Aunt May will find out that one, he got shot, two, he's Spider-Man. And so Peter Parker says, I just have to go through day by day with this pain and hope to feel better by the end of the week. But for right now, I can't go anywhere. Now, when Peter Parker goes to his locker, he does get a letter. And the letter says, go outside to a black van and somebody will help you. And so, of course, Peter Parker goes outside to a black van. And when the van opens up, it is the Ultimate Universe Wasp, who again is part of the team called the Ultimates. Now, you do have her say, Nick Fury sent me here to help you out. And so Nick Fury gave me this lovely medicine that I'm going to give to you, which should speed up your healing factor and make you better by the time you go home from school. And so, of course, that's what happens. You have the Wasp give Peter Parker a shot in the arm that basically makes him feel better by the end of the school day. And so when Mary Jane, Peter Parker, and Gwen Stacy are walking home to the Parker house, once again, we see a police car out front. But this time, not just one, but like 2 to 3 or 4 police cars. And so this time, Peter Parker is once again freaking out. He's like, oh my God, Aunt May, she's hurt. And so Peter Parker rushes in the house to see if his Aunt May is okay. But when he rushes in, Aunt May is okay. But when Gwen Stacy walks in, 2 random police officers walk up to her and they hand her her father's badge. And they tell her, your father is dead. And now, guys, we do jump back in time. And the thing is, though, guys, we pick up with George Stacy and his two friends just hours before he died. And the thing is, though, while George Stacy and his two friends at the police conference, the fake Spider-Man was once again trying to do some bad things. And this time, he was trying to rob a armed truck. The thing is, though, George Stacy and his two friends, they confronted him and they tried to stop him. And so you do have George Stacy and his two friends start to shoot at him. And one bullet does hit his backpack. And that backpack has some kind of bomb. And so the fake Spider-Man threw the bomb away from him, but the bomb almost hit a child. And so George Stacy ran full speed, grabbed the kid, threw the kid out of the way, but the bomb landed right in George Stacy's lap and it blew up, basically killing George Stacy. And so you have Peter Parker in the present day telling Gwen Stacy everything I just said, but to her. And so you have Peter Parker kind of like, this is just getting worse. Now Gwen Stacy believes that Spider-Man is a killer, and she believes that Spider-Man killed her father. Like, this is the worst day of my life right now. And so to wrap up number 31, you do have Peter Parker turn the TV on one more time, and he hears that the fake Spider-Man is once again at another bank trying to rob a bank again. And so Peter Parker changes into his Spider-Man outfit and he goes to confront the fake Spider-Man. And when he gets there, that is the end of Ultimate Spider-Man number 31. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 32, this is the book that wraps everything up. This is Brian Michael Bendis saying, hey, Volume 5 is done. It's time for us to go ahead and move on to the next big story for our boy, Peter Parker. Now, guys, we do pick up with Peter Parker basically confronting the man who has been running around in the Spider-Man outfit. This is him confronting the man saying, listen, you have been going around New York and being an imposter. You have basically framed me for different kinds of bank robberies, but also right now, the death of George Stacy. So thanks to you, you almost ruined my life. Well, that's okay. You know what I'm gonna do right now? I'm gonna beat you up to the point where you're just like bruised all over and then give you to the cops. And the thing is though, guys, you do have Peter Parker do that. He starts to beat down on this man. Now this man tries to give up. He's saying, listen, man, I'm sorry. I went out there and I framed you. I'm sorry that I killed somebody and put that on you also. Like, please stop beating me up. And like Spider-Man, Peter Parker is just throwing this man all over the bank. He's kind of like, no, you messed with the wrong person. Now, you do have Peter Parker realize that he has gone too far because the guy's face is like bruised up. It's already swelling. His eye is swollen. It's kind of like, Peter, stop. Like, Peter, stop. You made your point. You made your point. You beat him up. You made him realize that he's in the wrong. Just stop what you're doing. And Peter Parker takes a step back and says, oh my God, what have I done? And so Peter Parker gives the man over to the police and he goes back home to the Parker's house. Now, when he gets home, he does see Aunt May outside the house. And the thing is, Aunt May tried to call Gwen Stacy's mom saying, listen, your daughter is now alone. Her father died. Come get your child. And the mom told Aunt May, no, I don't want her. I don't want her at all. And so with Peter Parker arriving home, he talks to Aunt May and Aunt May tells Peter, listen, she has nowhere to go. She has to stay with us. And so Peter Parker and Aunt May go upstairs to Gwen and say, Gwen, you're staying here with us. You're going to move in with us and stay with us because you have nowhere to go. Your grandparents are dead. You have an aunt you never met in your life. Your dad is gone. Your mom doesn't want you. You are going to stay here with us, with people who want to take care of you and be with you. Now, we're going to fast forward a little bit, guys, because we now pick up with Peter Parker telling Mary Jane every single thing. And guys, this is the first of many breakups between Peter Parker and Aunt May. Peter Parker and Mary Jane. This is one of the many breakups because you have Peter Parker tell Mary Jane every single thing that happened about the guy in the bank and also Gwen Stacy moving in. And the thing is, Mary Jane, she just goes out of control. She lets Peter Parker have it. She says, no, I'm done. I'm done. I'm having nightmares of you dying or me dying. Gwen Stacy, she loves you. You have no clue about that. And you know what? Now she lives with you. And that's also a big problem. My dad is cheating on my mother. And my mom knows it, but she won't do anything about it. Like, I live in a life of hell right now. And you are not making that better. I'm afraid that you're going to die. Ever since we got together, ever since you told me that you are Spider-Man, you have been shot. I have been thrown off a bridge, and also the fact that, hey, you almost got killed by Doc Ock and Craven. Oh, and also make it worse, now this hot girl is going to live with you in your house. I don't like this. I'm done. And guys, this is Mary Jane just breaking up with Peter Parker. Just let him have all these different things, saying, I can't handle this anymore. And she leaves Peter Parker. And guys, that wraps up six does pick up where volume 5 left off at. Now, guys, remember, at the end of volume 5, Mary Jane broke up with Peter Parker. She dumped him. She's mad at him because, one, she's afraid that she might die or he might die from being Spider-Man. Also, Gwen Stacy moved in with the Parkers, and Mary Jane hates Gwen Stacy, but also she has some family drama. Her dad is cheating on her mom, and her mom is not doing anything about it. And so right now, Mary Jane is mad at the world. Her mom, her dad, Gwen Stacy, Peter Parker, just anybody in her way, she's mad at them. And so right now, guys, we pick up with Peter Parker just laying on the floor thinking about the breakup. And he's wondering, what should he do? Should he give her a call? Maybe he'll be able to convince her to say, hey, you know what? We should be together. Let's not break up. And so Peter Parker is really sitting down thinking about how in the world can he get his girlfriend back, bring her back to, his life and begin the relationship all over again. Now, of course, he's so angry at himself, he does throw his phone across the room and his phone does break. Now, with his phone breaking on the wall he threw it to, he does go over to that wall and he finds some kind of hidden door in May Parker's basement. And so he opens up this hidden door and he finds all these boxes that are labeled Parker. And he opens one up. And he sees that there are pictures in there of his dad and his mom and him when he was a young boy. But also he sees a tape. And so what he does, he goes upstairs to, like, I want to say May's room, or it could be his own room. I don't know. But he does go upstairs and he does put the tape in the tape player. And guys, right now, I feel old because honestly, I have not seen a VHS in a long time. But anyways, he puts the tape inside and he sees his dad, his mom. He also sees Uncle Ben and Aunt May, but he also sees another family. And guys, on this tape, it's all of them when they were young. So Peter Parker's like 4 years old. His parents still alive. Aunt May and Uncle Ben, they're also young. But there's also a second random family there. Now, as he watches the video, Aunt May does come behind him and she says, oh my God, I have not seen that video in a long time. Oh my gosh, Uncle Ben, seeing him like that just brings back all those memories. Now, Peter Parker does ask Aunt May, who was that? Who was that young boy? Who was that family? And Aunt May says, well, those are Brocks. You know, Eddie Brock and you were best friends. Even though you were a few years apart, you guys were like two peas in the pods. Matter of fact, Peter, you know what you should do? You should go and look up Eddie Brock and see if you guys can hang out again. You know what? Y'all were friends long ago. Maybe y'all can rekindle that friendship. And so Peter Parker says, that's a good idea, Aunt May. He goes to his room, gets on his computer, looks up Eddie Brock, and see that Eddie Brock goes to school, university in New York. And so he calls up Eddie Brock and say, hey, Eddie, it's me, Peter Parker. And Eddie's kind of like, oh my God, Peter Parker? Like, you're alive. So cool, man. Like, we should hang out. We should meet up. And so Peter Parker does that. He makes a copy of the VHS, and the next day he goes to Eddie Brock's university to meet up with Eddie Brock. Now, guys, this is our first introduction of Eddie Brock in the Ultimate Marvel Universe. Now, for the next few pages, you really kind of have Peter Parker and Eddie Brock just going back and forth, you know, just catching up a little bit. Like, hey, you know, I'm going to school. I'm going to school for this. How's high school? My parents died too on that plane with your parents. Like, it's them just basically catching up one another. And that's really it. It's not really important, but it's kind of cool to see Eddie Brock and Peter Parker, who were friends long ago, but now back together again for the first time and rekindling their friendship. Now, you do have Peter Parker say, hey, man, this tape is for you. I made it because I'm pretty sure you want to see your mom and dad one more time because, you know, they also died on that plane with my parents. Now, Eddie Brock says, you know what, Peter? It's so cool for us to finally meet up and hang out again. But I want to show you one thing. Follow me. Now, guys, real quick. Eddie Brock is going to university, and right now he is studying biology, I want to say it was. And so right now, Eddie Brock takes Peter Parker into some kind of laboratory on school campus. And when they walk in, he goes to his own locker and he pulls out this jar. But inside this jar is a bunch of goo. And Peter's all like, what in the world is that? And you have Eddie Brock say, dude, this is our inheritance. Our parents made this. Our dads made this. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 34, with this book right here, guys, this is the book where we finally see the black suit Spider-Man. Now, you do have Eddie Brock kind of sit down Peter Parker and break everything down for us, but also for him. And you have Eddie Brock say, listen, Peter, the pile of goo on the table right there, that was our dad's last project. Your dad, my dad. This was their last project. This bottle of goo was going to be the cure for cancer. The problem was, though, our parents died before they finished the project. Now, you do have Eddie Brock kind of go deeper into details and say, listen, tell you more things about our fathers. Our dads used to work for a company called Trask. And the thing is, though, Trask tried to take the project away from our fathers and have someone else work on it because Trask believes that the project was owned by them. Now, our parents, and basically our fathers, but our fathers tried to sue Trask to get the rights back from them to continue their lifetime work. The problem was, though, on the last day for court, they were going to fly over to the next city and finally handle this lawsuit. They died in the plane crash. Now, luckily for us, our dad still had the bottle of goo, and my grandpa kept it for me throughout all these years, and he finally gave it to me to continue to work on and hopefully finish my dad's project. Now, We do jump forward one day and we pick up with Peter Parker and Gwen Stacy right now after school. And the thing is, they're just waiting for a ride home from school. Now, Mary Jane walks out, and this is kind of awkward because this is the first time Mary Jane and Peter Parker have seen each other after their breakup. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of like, what do I do? Do I talk to her? Do I ignore her? But Gwen Stacy says, dude, like, leave her alone. She dumped you. Do not go over there and talk to her. And so Peter Parker ignores Mary Jane. Now, Eddie Brock does pull up in his nice car. Gwen Stacy and Peter get inside the car and they go to the mall to hang out. Now, we do jump over to the mall where they are hanging out and everything. And you do kind of have Eddie Brock and Peter Parker kind of talking about college life, the high school life. But it does change into what really happened to their fathers, to their mothers, what happened to them. Now, Gwen Stacy is just finding out that, hey, both their parents were on the same plane and died together. Now, you do kind of have Eddie Brock ask Gwen Stacy and Peter Parker to come out tonight because there is some band playing on the college ground. Now, guys, this part is kind of weird because Gwen tells Eddie Brock yes, she'll go with him to this band show. Peter says he has to work. And literally, guys, the next page you jump over, Peter Parker is not at work. Peter Parker is at home in his pajamas going through his dad's paperwork and trying to finish his dad's project, the cure for cancer. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of like getting mad because he realized that he has lost so many things in the past few months, but his dad has also lost so many things in the past few months. Well, not the past few months, but lost things before he died. And so Peter's kind of like, I'm tired of the Parkers losing every single thing they work hard for. That is not fair. That is not right. You know what? I'm going to break into the university, get the bottle of goo, get a small sample, and take it back home with me to work on it to finish my dad's lifetime goal, a cure for cancer. The problem is, though, when Peter Parker breaks into university, grabs the bottle of goo, and he tries to get a sample, a small piece falls on Peter Parker's hand, and it takes over his whole body. And he basically goes into some kind of cocoon. And when he breaks out of the cocoon, he's in his black suit. He's in a black suit Spider-Man outfit now. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 35, with this book right here, guys, this book does pick up where the last book left off at. Well, I want to say probably down the road, like a good hour maybe. But we do pick up with some random pop star right now, leaving her concert, getting inside a car, her limo, and about to go home. Now, once she's inside her limo, there are 4 guys with guns who basically kidnap her and hijack her limo. Now, they're doing this right now to get money out of her. They're holding her for ransom. Now, this is Brian Michael Bendis showing us that, hey, even in the Ultimate Universe, the Black Suit Spider-Man has a completely different attitude than his regular self. And so he does break into the limo by ripping off the roof of the car, beats up the 4 guys, and he does save the pop star. Now, once he gets out of the limo, he does see that, hey, you know what? This is kind of cool. I like this suit. You know, I feel better. I can take bullets now. I feel 10 times better. Now, you do have the city of Queens look at Peter and they're kind of like, oh, he has a new suit and a new attitude. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? Matter of fact, Mary Jane, she's on a bus nearby Peter and sees him and says, Peter has a new suit. What in the world is going on? Now, you do have Peter Parker leave the scene after saving the pop star. Now, guys, we do jump over to the Shocker. And guys, once again, this is Brian Michael Bendis saying nobody cares for the Shocker. The Shocker is a C-list, D-list villain. No one cares for the Shocker. And the reason why I say that is because this is the second time we have seen the Shocker, and once again, he is going to be defeated in like 3 pages. Because Peter Parker jumps down in his new black suit, and they do fight for like 1 or 2 panels, and Peter was able to defeat the Shocker once again, just that easy. Again, it's Brian Michael Bendis saying the Shocker is a nobody and nobody cares for the Shocker. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of heading home finally. The problem is, though, he does hear a young girl scream, "Somebody help me." And when he goes towards the scream, he does walk into a store and he sees a young girl holding her father's lifeless body because someone just shot her father and killed him because the person was trying to rob him. And so you do have Peter Parker go after the thug to get him and arrest him. Now, once Peter does catch up to the thug, Peter looks at the thug and says, "You remind me of the man who shot my uncle. You remind me of the man who shot my uncle right in front of my aunt." And so with Peter getting all mad from seeing this man and reminding him of his uncle dying, Peter turns into the monster-looking Venom and saying, "I am going to eat you." And guys, this right here is us finding out the suit needs to eat people to stay alive. And so right now, the Venom suit wants to eat this poor man to stay alive, basically. But the thing is, though, Peter Parker does able to get control of the suit and say, "No, we are not going to eat this man." Now, you do have Peter Parker try to take off the suit, but the thing is, though, the suit is so strong, the suit will not let go of Peter Parker. Now, luckily for Peter Parker, he does run into some phone lines that does shock the suit and burn the suit right off Peter Parker, basically killing the suit completely. And so it's kind of like Peter Parker is free from the Venom suit. The problem is, though, there's still a whole bottle of goo back at the college of Eddie Brock. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 36, with this book right here, guys, let me tell you something. When I was younger, I thought I would finally see Venom. Like, I thought I would finally see Venom for the first time in Ultimate Marvel. I was like, yo, we are about to get Venom. And the thing is, guys, we don't. That is in the next book. But anyways, guys, this book right here sets up Venom's first appearance. Now, you do have Eddie Brock take Gwen Stacy back to his dorm room. Now, guys, remember, Eddie Brock took Gwen to a concert that was at the college. And the thing is, though, after the concert, he thought that he'll be able to get some loving from Gwen Stacy, some love stuff from Gwen Stacy. I'm trying to say PG here. But you do have Gwen Stacy tell him no, wants to get back to his dorm room because she's kind of like, dude, you're 20. I'm 15. That's illegal. 2, kind of creepy. And 3, my dad just died. What in the world is wrong with you? And so you have Gwen Stacy leave his dorm room. Now, Eddie Brock is kind of mad. But the thing is, though, as soon as he turned on his TV, he does see that there is a Spider-Man in a black suit. And he's kind of like, huh, that's weird because it's only been a couple hours after I showed Peter Parker the black goo. And it's weird how this new Spider-Man has a black suit. And so Eddie Brock, he does rush into the laboratory to see if someone broke into the lab and stole the black goo. But once he walks in, he does see Peter Parker in some kind of weird outfit and kind of like, Eddie, I'm sorry, but we have to destroy this project. Now, you do have Eddie Brock kind of move in on Peter like, no, man, listen, you are not taking my dad's life work. The thing is, though, Peter Parker does pick up Eddie Brock with one hand, and Eddie's kind of like, oh crap, you are Spider-Man. Now, you do have Peter Parker kind of tell Eddie everything that happened in the last book. How the fact that he almost ate a man by the suit, whatever. But he kind of like, listen, the suit needs to feed on people. The suit needs to eat people. And I almost ate somebody, a live person. He was not dead. He was alive. And I was about to chow down on him. The suit is uncontrollable. We have to get rid of it. Now, you do have Eddie Brock kind of like, you're right. After everything you told me, Peter, and you know what, man? You're right. Go ahead and take the suit and just destroy it. Burn the goo alive. Let's prevent any bad things happening down the road. Just take it and leave. And so Peter Parker leaves. Eddie Brock also leaves. Now, Peter Parker does go somewhere and he does burn the suit alive. The problem is, though, after Peter left and Eddie Brock left, Eddie walked down the hallway, turned back around, walked back into the laboratory, and we come to find out Eddie Brock has not just one locker, but two lockers. In the other locker, he has, again, another jar of the black goo, the suit, the venom suit. And you have Eddie Brock put his hand right into the black goo. And the book ends like that. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 37, with this book right here, guys, this book doesn't pick up where the last book left off at. Instead, we pick up with Peter Parker right now having a nightmare. Because, guys, remember, Peter Parker almost ate somebody while wearing the black suit. And so right now, Peter Parker is having a nightmare about eating that man. Now, Peter Parker does wake up and he says, oh crap, that was crazy. That was wild. That can never happen. And so what Peter Parker does, he says, you know what? Let me go over to Mary Jane's house, because Mary Jane is the only person I know that I can talk to about being Spider-Man. And so Peter Parker does go over Mary Jane's house, hoping to talk to her. Now, Peter is also hoping that just maybe, Mary Jane will take him back. And so after Peter tells her everything that happened to him in the past couple days, Peter's kind of like, listen, Mary Jane, there is nothing going on between Gwen and I. I only love you. I only care for you. Can you please just take me back? And the thing is, you have Mary Jane say, no, Peter, we are not living a normal life. You have to realize, in the past couple weeks, I have been thrown off a bridge. You have been shot. Okay, Peter, when you leave school, you go be a superhero and you fight super villains. Peter, that is not a normal teenager life. You're living a fantasy that is real, but dangerous. Peter, that's not normal. That is crazy and that is wild. And that is not okay. And so you have Mary Jane say, no, we cannot be together. And guys, Mary Jane just walks away. Now, we do jump over to Eddie Brock. Now, guys, remember, the last time we saw Eddie Brock, he was about to put his hand in the bottle of goo. The thing is, though, the book cut off right there. Now, the thing is, we pick up with somebody walking into the room just to clean up the laboratory. The thing is, though, when this lady walks in the room, she finds Eddie Brock in the same cocoon state that Peter Parker was in earlier in the video. And so right now, Eddie Brock is on the ground in a cocoon state. And the thing is, though, guys, the lady, As soon as she walks closer and closer to Eddie Brock in the cocoon state to see if he's okay, the suit basically grabs the lady, pulls her in, and eats her completely. I mean completely. There's no bones left. There's no flesh left. The only thing left from this lady was her shoes. Basically, the suit ate her up completely, killing her. Now, after that happened, Eddie Brock was able to get control of the suit. The problem was, though, the suit is trying to eat Eddie Brock. It is trying to eat him whole. Now, you do have Eddie trying to fight back against the suit. The problem is, though, 2 more security guards walk in and the suit eats them also. And so Eddie Brock does not have full control of the Venom suit. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker at high school right now in class, just thinking about everything that happened to him in the past couple of days. Mary Jane, the black suit, Eddie Brock. He's in class, but he's not paying attention. Now, here's the thing, though. Peter Parker, spider sense is going crazy. He's kind of like, why in the world is my spider sense going crazy? What is happening? Peter Parker looks outside, and he sees the black suit is out there. And Peter's kind of like, wait a second. I burned the black suit. How in the world is the black suit alive still? And so you have Peter Parker go out at his classroom, out in the middle of the football field to confront the black suit. And the thing is, when he goes up to the front to the black suit, he comes to find out that it is Eddie Brock. That Eddie Brock is now part of the black suit. And Eddie Brock is there to kill Peter Parker. Now, guys, when it comes to Ultimate Spider-Man number 38, with this book right here, guys, this is the book where, like I said earlier, after this book right here, we are not going to see Venom for a very long time. Like a very long time. Because Brian Michael Bendis only gave us like a small appearance of Venom, but that took place in like Ultimate Spider-Man number 100 and something. So like from 70 books to 80 books away, we are not going to see Venom reappear in the Ultimate Universe. I mean, he does make a minor appearance in Ultimate 3, but it's not that huge. It's not like, oh my God, it's Ultimate Venom. No. It's kind of, oh, there's Venom, and now he's gone. And so, guys, with this book here, though, it does pick up where our last book left off at. You do have Peter Parker and Venom fighting against each other. Now, the whole book is basically them going back and forth, fighting against each other. The thing is, though, guys, you do have Peter Parker really trying hard to tell Eddie Brock, you have to fight this. You have to fight this, because if you don't fight this, the suit will kill you. The suit will kill you and will eat you up. And then it will go on to the next person and do the same thing. You have to fight the suit. You need to let me help you. The thing is, though, Eddie Brock is so mad at Peter Parker for one, basically taking something away from him that belonged to his father and basically burned it. Eddie Brock is full of rage because Peter Parker had just came into his life and made his life worse. And so Eddie Brock is just mad at the world, but mostly mad at Peter Parker. Because Eddie Brock believed that when him reconnecting with Peter Parker, that everything would be okay. He got his childhood best friend back. But in reality, Peter Parker made his life worse. And so right now, Eddie Brock is just full of rage. Now, to go ahead and wrap up Ultimate Spider-Man number 38, you do have Peter Parker and Eddie Brock fight go all over the city. But Eddie Brock does get shot by the police station, does get shot by a bunch of policemen. But the thing is, though, there is a live wire on the ground. And so with Eddie Brock basically slowly walking backwards, he steps on the live wire and it basically just blows him up. It blows him up, and it does look like Eddie Brock has been killed. That Eddie Brock is dead. That venom just blew up. The black suit's gone, Eddie Brock is gone, and there is no more venom. And guys, like I said, after that moment right there, we do not see Eddie Brock until down the road. Like Ultimates 3, minor appearance, or Ultimate Spider-Man number 100 and I forgot what book it was. But we will not see Venom for a very, very long time. Now, guys, we do pick up with Ultimate Spider-Man number 39. Now, this book right here, guys, this is actually the ending of Volume 6 of Ultimate Spider-Man. Now, originally, I was going to go ahead in today's video, but I realized, oh wait, 39 gives us a few more answers of what happened to Eddie Brock after number 38. Now, we do pick up with Nick Fury. And the thing is, though, guys, Nick Fury is just out right now on another mission right now. But the thing is, though, someone tells him, hey, listen, you have somebody following you for the past like hour or two. And so you do have Nick Fury go into a hidden alleyway, use some kind of weird device that cancels out Peter Parker's powers and makes Peter Parker fall down to the ground. And you have Nick Fury kind of like, okay, Peter, why in the world have you been following me for? And the thing is, you have Peter kind of like, listen, I know that you guys have some kind of way to get rid of my spider powers because I do not want them anymore. Can you please just take them away from me? Because ever since I got these powers, things have been getting worse for me in my life. My girlfriend left me. I got shot. You know, Norman Osborn is a crazy man who might try to come back again. I lost my best friend, Harry Osborn. And I was able to reconnect with my old childhood friend, but then he turned into some kind of blue monster and I got him killed. And so you do have Nick Fury kind of like, oh, wait, that was you? That was you fighting that weird black monster in Queens? Where's he now? You have Peter Parker kind of like, dude, it doesn't matter where he's at now. He's dead. But the thing is, though, I need you to take my spider powers away. And so you have Nick Fury say, no, I'm not going to do that. I am not going to take your powers away from you. Because the thing is, you just had a bad day. You are a teenager. You do not know how to handle something like this. Let me tell you, man, it's called life. You will have multiple bad days down the road. But listen to me. You will get through this, kid. I understand that you went through a lot in the past couple months because believe me, we have been watching you. But I'm telling you right now, you will be okay. Now, we do jump over to Peter Parker going to the dorm room of Eddie Brock. And the thing is, though, when he walks in, Eddie Brock's stuff is gone. Eddie Brock's stuff is gone. And so you do have Eddie Brock's dorm mate kind of like, yeah, when I came back, his stuff was already gone. He was already gone, and that's it. That's all I know. I didn't see him. Nobody did. But Eddie Brock is gone. And so Peter Parker is kind of like, he's alive. But how in the world is he alive? I watch him die. He's alive. There's no way. And so Peter Parker rushes to the laboratory. And when he gets in there, he does meet up with Kirk Connors. And Kirk Connors is kind of like, Peter Parker, it's you again. All right. Good to see you. Listen, your friend Eddie Brock is also gone. He is missing. Like, he basically came in here and he took the rest of your dad's project. So yes, he was here and now he is also gone. And so you get Peter kind of like, wait, are you telling me that Eddie Brock is still alive? Eddie Brock was here also, and he took the rest of our father's project with him when he damn well knows that project is out of control? And so Peter's kind of freaking out. Now, you do have Kirk Connors kind of like, oh, by the way, I know you're Spider-Man, because it was kind of easy to figure out, because it's weird how Spider-Man had a black suit on while Eddie Brock and I were working on this project together. So I know that you are Spider-Man. And of course, you have Peter Parker kind of like, yeah, you caught me, I'm Spider-Man. But Peter Parker does leave the laboratory and leave Kirk Connors behind. But once he leaves, Peter's kind of like, Eddie Brock is out there somewhere, and I have to find him. The question is, though, where? And guys, that wraps up Ultimate Spider-Man Volume 6, which again is called Venom. Now, guys, again, we will not see Venom for a very long time. Most likely in Ultimates 3 with his minor appearance, but we are not going to see Venom in the Ultimate Universe for a very long time. But anyways, guys, go ahead and hit the like button down below. Also, subscribe for more comic book stories in the near future. Also, any suggestions on books I should read, let me know in the comments below, because you never know, your suggestion could be a future video down the road. But anyways, I'm out of here, guys, and I'll see you on the next comic book video. Later, guys.